Chapter 373. Shimin Wenjian knew that Mo Yushin said that on purpose, but he still felt as if he had swallowed a fly. In the terrifying beast tide, Lung Ningle and Lung Ninghuan were protecting that deformed fellow. This was somewhat out of the ordinary. If that's really the case, then don't blame me, Shimin Wenjian thought to himself. After the beautiful sisters appeared on the city wall, they heaved a long sigh of relief and put Chunhao down. "Miss, are you all right?" Clan leader was worried sick. The young disciples of the Lung clan immediately gathered around them. "We're fine. It's just some minor injuries," Lung Ningle said. That's good. Miss, this is..." The gazes of the young disciples of the Lung clan all gathered on Chunhao, who looked neither human nor ghost. Lung Ningle wanted to speak, but Lung Ninghuan held her small hand and said, "We met him in the depths of the beast tide by chance. He was severely injured, and he fainted a long time ago. Everyone, don't disturb him. Let's recover first." Chunhao's body was covered with injuries that were so deep that his bones could be seen. His skin and flesh were torn open, and he looked half dead. In the eyes of the crowd, it was indeed a problem whether he could survive with such severe injuries. Was Chunhao purposely pretending to be on the verge of death, or was this really the case? The sisters were more inclined towards the latter. In their opinion, Chunhao must have been trying to provide them with energy, which causes injuries to worsen. "Elder sister, his injuries are too severe. Why don't we send him back to heal first?" "All right, this beast tide will probably continue for many days. Let's go." After the beautiful sisters finished speaking, they left with Chunhao. For hours later, they returned to the city wall. At this moment, the beast tide was obviously more terrifying than before. Most of the cultivators had already started to gather at the bottom of the city wall. However, Shimin Wenjian and Mo Yushin were still 200 miles away, and they were still crazily hunting. The performance of these two people, especially Shimin Wenjian's performance, shocked everyone. It should be known that there were only a few people of the younger generation fighting outside the city. Moreover, they were all outstanding figures of the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City. Most of them were veteran experts of the primordial soul stage. These experts had battle experience that the young disciples did not have. Moreover, most of them were half-step to the manifestation realm. However, due to their mental state, physical body, and many other reasons, they did not dare to trigger the heavenly punishment. After many years of consolidation, they were much stronger than the young geniuses of the same realm. They had also cultivated countless life-saving supreme skills. However, the battle talent and strength that Shimin Wenjian displayed made all the veteran elites pale in comparison. Although Mo Yushin's performance was not as outstanding as Shimin Wenjian's, it was still quite powerful. This caused the cultivators on the city wall to exclaim and cheer. Is this Mo Yushin's true strength? Elder sister, do you think that Chunhao has any chance of resisting her? What do you think? I think there should be hope. He had the Qilin's legacy. Moreover, the power displayed by the Qilin's legacy was something that only those in the intermediate or advanced primordial spirit realm could possess. It's obvious that his fusion with the Qilin's legacy has reached a very high level. Besides this, he managed to survive the beast tide. I really don't know how long he lasted. This kind of will and battle prowess is simply unfathomable. Also, the speed at which he refines primal crystals is simply too fast. Even more miraculous is that he is of the immortal Tao, yet he is able to provide us with pure demonic primal essence. Moreover, the purity of that primal essence is much higher than ours. Yes, I also think it's possible. This Chunhao is very mysterious. I really don't know how he managed to survive with such heavy injuries. When the beast tide is over and his injuries are healed, we can give it a try. Okay, Lung Ninglu said with slight anticipation. It had been almost 3 years. Mo Yushin had been targeting them, but they could not do anything. This was because Mo Yushin did not violate the rules of Heavenly Mist City, causing them to gnash their teeth in hatred. If Mo Yushin did not target them, they might have triggered the heavenly punishment and stepped into the primordial soul stage. 10 days later, the strongest beast tide in Heavenly Mist City in 100 years finally retreated under the combined efforts of countless experts and the barrier. At least 100,000 cultivators died in the beast tide, and this was only when they were guarding the city. If the cultivators who went out to train were included, the number would at least double. However, after the baptism of the beast tide, the cultivators of Heavenly Mist City gain a lot. In addition to the demonic beast cores and demonic beast materials, the more important thing was that the young cultivators were tempered. Heavenly Mist City, Lung Clan. In a huge palace, the patriarch of the Lung Clan, Lung Konya, returned to the Lung Clan in low spirits because he had to maintain the barrier. However, the first thing he did was not to recover, but to summon the beautiful sisters, Lung Ning Lu and Lung Ning Lo. Grandfather, you two little girls, I told you that the beast tide was a little strange and that you shouldn't go too deep. Do you know how dangerous it is? Also, you know it's dangerous and you can't even protect your own life, but you still want to save people. Not only did you save people, but the beast tide also became stronger. Why didn't you give up? What person is more important than your life? Grandfather, it's not like that, Lung Ning Lu said embarrassedly. It's not that we don't want to give up on him, but we can't, Lung Ning Huan said. Can't give up? Why can't you give up? All right, I heard that you released the Qilin's inheritance. What's going on? The Qilin's inheritance was released by Chun Hao. Grandfather, the situation at that time was a little complicated. We saved Chun Hao first, but it was Chun Hao who saved us. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to return. Chun Hao? Where's he from? Hearing Lung Ning Huan mention Chun Hao's name, Lung Kongye was slightly stunned. He seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes shone brightly. Yes, grandfather. He said that he came from the Eastern continent. However, we don't know if it's true or not. It's impossible for there to be such a powerful person in the Eastern continent. Qilin's inheritance, and he saved you. Did that kid use a sword that contained the energy of the 5 elements? Grandfather, how did you know? Then that's not bad. He must be the Eastern continent's Chun Hao. Grandfather, you know him? Yes. A year ago, Grandfather was invited by an old friend to participate in the annual auction in Emerald Smoke City. I heard a little about this kid. This kid is not simple. He's known as a monstrous genius in the Eastern continent. He comprehended the destruction sword Dao and is proficient in concealment. He and his Dao partner instantly killed 30 top immortal geniuses of the Southern Sea Archipelago. At that time, this kid was only at the early stage of the Incarnation Realm, and his Dao partner was at the peak of the late stage of the Incarnation Realm. Among the 30 disciples of the Southern Sea Archipelago, several were half-step nascent soul realm, while the rest were at the peak of the late stage of the Incarnation Realm. This kid killed more than 20 people in one move. The leaders of the 10 immortal sects of the Southern Sea Archipelago were dispatched to capture this kid and his Dao partner, but in the end, they still escaped. In just a year, he actually reached the nascent soul realm. This talent, this killing more than 20 people in one move. Grandfather, is this true? Of course it's true. No wonder. If he was an ordinary person, he wouldn't have been able to survive with such heavy injuries. But he's fine. When we met him, we didn't know how long he had been fighting in the beast tide. Moreover, his refining speed was extremely fast, at least 10 times faster than my sister and I. What's even more amazing was that he was clearly a cultivator of the immortal Tao, yet he was able to provide us with pure devil Tao true essence. What? Lung Kongye was shocked when he heard Lung Ninghuan's words. We can't believe it either, but it's true. Where is he now? Bring him to see me. Lung Kongye frowned slightly. Then his eyes flashed with an imperceptible light as he said, Grandfather will sign a contract for you. Grandfather? Isn't that a bad idea? Lung Ninghuan frowned and asked. Yes, grandfather. Although we saved his life, he also saved our lives. Before the contract is signed, we should be considered even. No one owes anyone anything. Don't worry. Grandfather will sign an equal contract with you. There's no distinction between master and servant. Haven't you always wanted to go to the Central Continent to train? When you trigger the heavenly punishment, and step into the primordial soul realm. You can go with this, kid. The beautiful sisters were pleasantly surprised when they heard the old man's words. At the same time, they said, "Grandfather, are you serious?" "Of course." "Okay, we'll call him now. But grandfather, we just want to see him. He's still in the state of cultivation." Lung Ningyu said, "Give him this 9-yang pill. Bring him to see me immediately when he's done." Lung Ningkong said as he took out an exquisite jade bottle and handed it to the two of them. The beautiful sisters widened their eyes in surprise. Even for them, unless they had suffered extremely serious injuries, their grandfather would not easily give them the 9-yang pills. They did not expect their grandfather to be so generous as to take out a 9-yang pill this time. The 9-yang pill was countless times more precious than the nirvana pill. However, only experts at the incarnation realm and primordial soul realm and above were qualified to use it. Physical bodies below the incarnation realm could not withstand the medicinal power at all. No matter how severe the physical injuries were, as long as they were not dead, they could recover in a short time. After watching the two little girls leave, a strange expression appeared on Lung Yekong's face. When things reach an extreme, they will move in the opposite direction. The Eastern Continent's providence has already declined to such a state, but such a shocking genius has appeared. What does this mean? This kid's future is limitless. Huan Huan and Lei Lei were able to form a good relationship with him, so they will definitely be affected by his providence. Although my Lung clan can still stand firm now, how many years can I last? Thinking of this, Lung Kongye's expression flashed with a trace of loneliness. The Lung clan seemed to be huge, but it was facing a real crisis. The reason was none other than the lack of descendants. The beautiful sisters of the Lung clan were the last bloodline of the Lung clan. Lung Ninghuan and Lung Ninghu's father, who was also his son, was extremely mediocre in that generation. What made him even angrier was that his sons had found a bunch of Dao companions, but they only gave birth to a pair of beautiful sisters. Once he reached the end of his lifespan, Lung Ninghuan and Lung Ning Lu would have yet to fully mature. At that time, the seemingly powerful Lung clan would definitely be divided up among the other clans. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 374. They're here again? In a cultivation room in the Lung family's VIP area, Chun Hao, who was cultivating cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes and muttered to himself in surprise. His injuries had long since recovered, but he had been immersed in cultivation. The crisis brought about by the beast tide allowed Chun Hao to surpass his limits again and again, benefiting him greatly. In addition, Chun Hao wanted to hide the secret of his undying bloodline, so he couldn't recover too quickly. Dong dong. Chun Hao deliberately adjusted his aura to a state where he was cultivating and was still a little weak. However, the two beautiful sisters, who had just left and returned, knocked on the door. At the same time, the two beautiful sisters' soft voices drifted into the cultivation room. Phew! Chun Hao waited for a moment before he let out a long sigh and pretended to exit his cultivation state. He responded and slowly walked out of the cultivation room. He was dressed in a black robe, and there were shallow scars on his originally handsome face. His spirit was obviously still injured. His face was also slightly pale, but it couldn't hide his elegant demeanor. The scars on his face imperceptibly added a cold and domineering aura. When the two girls saw Chun Hao's appearance, they clearly revealed a trace of surprise. Although they had been here before, they didn't see him. To be precise, they didn't even see Chun Hao's original appearance. How is this still the neither human nor ghost youth? Hey, you're Chun Hao, the leading figure of the Eastern Continent's younger generation, the one who killed 30 peerless geniuses of the Southern Sea Islands, the Chun Hao? Lung Ningle's eyes widened as she slightly raised her head and stared at Chun Hao. How did you know? Chun Hao was just about to speak when he was stunned by Lung Ningle's words. Heavenly Mist City and Emerald Smoke City were nearly 100 million miles apart. How could they know his identity so quickly? Moreover, Chun Hao knew that Emerald Smoke City was just a remote slum compared to Heavenly Mist City. Who would pay attention to the matters there? But now, these two little girls of the Devil Path actually knew about his deeds. This was a bit too exaggerated. That's right. My grandfather guessed correctly. I didn't expect that not only are you not ugly, you are also so. When Lung Ning Lu spoke up to this point, Lung Ning Huan habitually grabbed Lung Ning Li's hand and stopped her. This is the 9-yang pill that our grandfather gave you. Eat it and heal yourself first. When you're better, we'll take you to see our grandfather. He wants to see you. 9-yang pill. This. Thank you. Chun Hao was slightly surprised, but he took it from Lung Ning Huan's hands. Hey, Chun Hao, we saved you first, didn't we? Lung Ning Lu asked again. Lung Ning Huan was slightly taken aback, but she did not stop him. Yes, it was indeed the two of you who saved me first. Without you, I'm afraid my physical body would be finished. You saved us after that, or rather, we fought against the enemy together. By saving us, you are also saving yourself. Can I say this? Lung Ning Li's expression was a little embarrassed, but she still said it with anticipation. Hee, just say what you want to say. As long as I can help you, there will naturally be no problem. I understand the rules of the Devil Path. Chun Hao looked at the expressions of the two girls and said, That's good. Hurry and eat the pill to heal yourself. Sister, and I will come to find you in a while. We'll talk later. Lung Ning Lu said with a happy smile. Huan Huan, Lei, they are really happy. These two girls are really good. They saved my life. Even if they want to repay my kindness, it wouldn't be too much. They are actually embarrassed to use a negotiating tone. However, it seems that their grandfather gave me the 9-yang pill directly. After Chun Hao returned to the cultivation room, he thought to himself, the 9-yang pill was a much higher grade healing medicine than the Nirvana pill. One pill was worth tens of thousands of high-grade primal crystal stones. Although it was nothing compared to Chun Hao's current wealth, Chun Hao believed that the two beautiful sisters would not use this pill casually. Otherwise, they would have used it on him a long time ago. Why would they wait until now? After casually putting the 9-yang pill into his interspatial ring, Chun Hao sat down cross-legged. Suddenly, the aura around him fluctuated strangely, and a majestic and pure, true origin surged toward his skin. In an instant, the scars on his body began to disappear at a speed visible to the naked eye. Sister, although Chun Hao is not as strong as Shimin Wenjian now, I think he will be stronger in the future. What do you think? He has a lot of secrets on him. Didn't you see how surprised grandfather was? The Destruction Sword Principle, the Qilin's inheritance, and he killed more than 20 top geniuses with a single sword. Although the top geniuses of the Southern Sea Islands are definitely not much, he killed those above his level. Even we can't do that. Moreover, he advanced from the early incarnation stage to the early primordial spirit stage in less than a year. That's too fast. Moreover, grandfather allowed us to go to the central continent with him. You can imagine how much grandfather values him. Lung Ning Huan said, Yes, if he didn't help us, how good would it be if we saved him and signed a master and servant contract with him directly? Although it's only for a year, he can help us do a lot of things. At least we can teach Mo Yushin a lesson for a year and let her have a taste of being suppressed. Also, that Shimin Wenjian is really disgusting. Mo Yushin treats him like a treasure. What's so great about him? He thinks we don't know his purpose and is always trying to curry favor with us. Sister, I have an idea. I wonder if you're willing? What idea? We can get closer to Chun Hao. No matter if it's age, talent, potential, or appearance, Chun Hao is much better than Shimin Wenjian. As long as we make him feel that we have that kind of relationship with Chun Hao, I think he won't bother us like a fly. That's not good, right? What's not good about it? First, it's easy for Chun Hao to misunderstand us. Second, I'm afraid Shimin Wenjian will cause trouble for Chun Hao. What's wrong with that? We'll just tell Chun Hao in advance. He just said that as long as it's within his ability, he will help us. As for trouble, it's nothing. He won't dare to mess around with the rules of Heavenly Mist City. Moreover, grandfather said Chun Hao is good at hiding, so he will definitely go to the Eastern Continent. How is that trouble? If he's afraid of Shimin Wenjian, then he doesn't need to go to the central continent. You can't say that. Even if he goes to the central continent, he won't offend any expert. With Shimin Wenjian's character, elder sister, don't think too much about others, okay? When the time comes, we'll just tell Chun Hao. If he wants to help, then he will. If he doesn't want to help, then he won't. Anyway, we'll tell him the pros and cons. That should be fine, right? Lung Ningle stopped Lung Ninghuan and said, "All right." The next day, Chun Hao was in high spirits. He had completely returned to normal. Under the guidance of the two beautiful sisters, he went to see their grandfather. What surprised Chun Hao was that the old man with an extremely powerful aura seemed to be chatting casually. He didn't put on any airs and just followed the rules of the demonic path. After discussing with Chun Hao, they signed a fair contract. There was only one condition, which was for the two ladies to follow Chun Hao to the eastern continent to train. The contract would last for a year. After a year, Chun Hao would be able to do as he pleased. Although Chun Hao was a little conflicted, he didn't reject it. After all, his life was saved by the other party. If what Lung Ningle said was true, then even if it was an unfair contract, Chun Hao wouldn't be able to go against it. It was already good enough that he was able to get rid of his status as a servant. Of course, the most important thing was that Chun Hao could sense that although this family practiced the demonic path, they were of the orthodox demonic path. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter even if he went back on his word. With his ability, he would definitely have a chance to escape if he wanted to. Young Master Chun, the biggest auction house in Heavenly Mist City, is the Heavenly Mist Chamber of Commerce. There are auctions every day. If young Master Chun needs anything, you can basically get it from there. Accompanied by a servant from the Lung clan, Chun Hao leisurely toured Heavenly Mist City. When they arrived at the auction house, the servant introduced him to Heavenly Mist City. This servant was specially arranged by Lung Kongya to guide Chun Hao. He was one of the stewards of the Lung clan. He looked to be in his 50s or 60s. His cultivation base was at the peak of the late-stage primordial spirit realm. He was surrounded by demonic aura and was extremely powerful. His eyes were filled with shrewdness. It was obvious that he was a person who knew the ways of the world. At this moment, the beautiful sisters had already entered seclusion to comprehend and consolidate what they had gained from the beast tide. According to them, once they came out of seclusion, they would be able to trigger the heavenly punishment and go to the central continent together. Chun Hao wanted to use this time to see if he could buy the materials needed to fuse with the mysterious existence. Therefore, he proposed to go to Heavenly Mist City for a stroll. "Oh, I want to auction something first. Can I ask the Lung clan to help me?" "Haha, of course. Young Master Chun is our Lung clan's distinguished guest. I can help you with such a small matter. Actually, young Master Chun, you don't have to worry. The information of the Heavenly Mist Chamber of Commerce's auctions won't be leaked," the steward said with a smile. "At least the people in the Chamber of Commerce will know." "Ha! Then I'll have to trouble you, senior." Chun Hao said, "I have 5 mutated panther fruits here. Each of them can increase one's lifespan by 30 years. "Ah, young Master Chun." The steward, who was smiling, was shocked when he heard Chun Hao's words. His voice trembled as he said, Are you serious? What's wrong?" "This. Can you talk to our patriarch about it?" "Our patriarch. He's been buying heaven and earth spiritual items that can increase one's lifespan. If they can really increase one's lifespan by 30 years, our patriarch will definitely participate in the auction. What I mean is, can you let our patriarch make a bid?" "Don't worry. Our patriarch won't let you suffer a loss." "I see. Okay, then we'll go back and talk to your patriarch directly. This is a serious matter. Young Master Chun, how about we go back now?" "All right, 30 years. It can definitely increase one's lifespan by 30 years. After the two of them returned to the Lung clan, they went straight to the patriarch of the Lung clan. When a steward told the patriarch of the Lung clan about the situation, the patriarch of the Lung clan was pleasantly surprised. He could not wait to ask Chun how to take out a mutated panther fruit. When he saw the panther fruit, he said excitedly, "Young Master Chun, to be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation." Chapter 375. Chen Hao. Old man can't estimate the exact price of her mutated panther fruit, but it will definitely be very, very high. How about this? I only want one. I can't afford 5. You also know that the effect of any kind of heaven and earth spirit treasure is only the first one. Its effect is the greatest. The second one's effect will be halved. At the same price, I can buy other heaven and earth spirit treasures that can increase one's lifespan. As for the other 4, you can auction them. Old man will buy yours at the average price of the 4. How about it? Lung Kongye said after returning the mutated panther fruit to Chen Hao. Although he wanted to eat all of them, he knew the value of these mutated panther fruits. 5 of them would definitely consume 30% of the Lung clan's wealth. Moreover, the premise was that they had to sell their clan's savings to buy them all. Heaven and earth spirit treasures that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years were extremely difficult to find, especially the panther fruit. The panther fruit itself was a rare kind. A year ago, at the auction of the Emerald Smoke Chamber of Commerce, a panther fruit that could increase one's lifespan by 3 years was sold for 110,000 high-grade primal crystal stones. How much could a panther fruit that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years be sold for? That wasn't calculated by a factor of 10, but by a factor of at least a factor of 100. Patriarch Lung, the reason why I'm selling this mutated panther fruit is that I want to exchange it for some primal crystal stones. Secondly, I want to buy some materials. If you have the materials I need, the price doesn't matter. I can exchange it with you. Chen Hao smiled and said generously. In the 9 underworld frost pool, due to the control of the origin energy and the mysterious existence, the panther fruit tree had mutated and produced 365 panther fruits at once. Moreover, each panther fruit contained life origin energy that was more than 10 times greater than the original panther fruit. According to his estimation, it could increase one's lifespan by at least 30 years. How high was this value? Chen Hao had expected this, but when he saw Lung Kongye's expression, he realized that he had still underestimated the value of this mutated panther fruit. What materials do you need? Our Lung clan has collected all kinds of materials for thousands of years. I'll only know what I need after I see it. Patriarch Lung, can you let me see your collection? Chen Hao said a little awkwardly. There was nothing he could do about it. The names of the materials mentioned by the mysterious existence were completely different in the boundless continent. The materials obtained from the 9th frost pond could prove it. Thus, even if he were to say it out loud, the old man would probably be flabbergasted. Sure, I'll bring you to our Lung clan's treasury. If you fancy it, feel free to choose. Lung Kongye said without the slightest hesitation. In his opinion, there was nothing in the Lung family's treasury that could compare to the value of the mutated panther fruit. Even if Chen Hao took away half of the items in his treasury, he would still make a profit if he could exchange it for 5 immortal fruits. All right, thanks a lot. It's my duty. I hope there's something you need. Take whatever you want. Under Lung Kongye's lead, the two of them quickly passed through the layers of restrictions and arrived at the deepest part of the palace. Lung Kongye took out an antique token that exuded an ancient and mysterious aura. After dripping a strand of his blood essence into it, he urged his true essence and condensed it into a series of mysterious runes. Suddenly, the huge array runes below him began to shine with a bright light. After the space distorted for a while, Chen Hao appeared in a huge cave with him. This is our Lung clan's treasury that has been passed down for thousands of years. There are a total of 3 levels. This is the first level, and they are all relatively inferior mineral veins, crystals, and spiritual items of heaven and earth. You can take a look at them one by one. If you need anything, feel free to take it. If you're done, crush this communication talisman, and I'll come and pick you up. Aren't you going to look after the Lung clan's residence? Chen Hao asked in surprise. Haha, these 3 levels of the treasury have a radius of 1,000 miles. If you want to check them one by one, you'll need at least 2 days. You can take your time to choose. The old man trusts you. Besides, although there are many things here, they are all recorded. Haha. After Lung Kongye finished speaking, he disappeared in front of Chen Hao. Amazing. The Lung clan's foundation is definitely comparable to a rank 9 sect in the eastern continent. Even their treasury has a radius of a few thousand miles. Chen Hao sighed in relief and thought to himself. The third level, the 306 cabinet. At this moment, the voice of the mysterious existence appeared in Chen Hao's mind. You found it already? Chen Hao said in surprise. Unfortunately, there's only one that we need. However, you can choose more of the spiritual herbs here. After we merge them, you can start cultivating alchemy. There's no need for mineral veins. Yes, I'm not in a hurry to go up. I'll go through them one by one first. Although that old man isn't here, he can definitely sense my every move. Although I feel that this old man is not bad, it's better to keep a low profile. Yes, Chen Hao, there are still 360 mutated immortal fruits. Based on this old man's performance, each of them is probably worth a lot. I have an idea that might be able to gather the materials we need as soon as possible. Oh, what idea? Think about it. Right now, we only lack 3 materials: the mystic iron soul essence, the heavenly crystal, and the fire essence jade marrow, to complete the fusion of the incarnation realm. However, you're already at the essence soul realm. When you reach the half-step creation realm, you can fuse them again. I've already collected everything that I could find in the 9th Hellfrost pool. There are still 8 more materials that I need. The names of these materials don't correspond to the Boundless Continent. Or rather, I don't even know if the Boundless Continent has a name. If you want to rely on auctions to gather them, you really don't know how many auctions you have to attend. Furthermore, you might not even encounter them. Therefore, I suggest that you directly ask the Lung clan's patriarch to help you contact some experts with deep foundations who need mutated immortal fruits. As long as we are allowed to enter the treasury to choose, it will be much faster. That's a good idea. I'll discuss it with him when we go out. However, this matter must be carried out secretly. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if everyone knows that I have so many mutated immortal fruits. An ordinary man is innocent, but treasuring a jade ring will arouse the envy of others. Our strength is still too weak. 9-leaf demonic lotus seed, 1,000-year blood ginseng crow, fragrant ice soul fruit. Chen Hao slowly looked through the items on the first floor. Under the guidance of the mysterious existence, he put away whatever he needed into his storage ring without hesitation. The deeper he went, the more Chen Hao sighed at the Lung clan's foundation. Although the value of these items was nothing to him, collecting so many precious mineral veins and spiritual items was not something that could be done with money alone. Moreover, these items were obviously not for sale. They could only be obtained through bartering. Fortunately, Chen Hao's mutated immortal fruits were something that the peerless experts who were nearing the end of their lifespans would want to obtain at all costs. Of course, Chen Hao's greatest wealth was the rotten stones he had obtained from the 9th Hellfrost pool. This is the heavenly crystal? Finally, he arrived at the cabinet designated by the mysterious existence on the 3rd floor. Chen Hao saw the so-called heavenly crystal. The label on the cabinet was mysterious object. Obviously, the Lung clan was still unable to determine the use of this item. The heavenly crystal was one of the materials used to refine spatial items. There was no need for spatial laws to allow the refined item to possess spatial profundity. It could be big or small, stretch or shrink at will. Although the celestial stone in front of him was of the lowest quality, it was enough for Chen Hao's current fusion. Yes, it seems that there shouldn't be many people in the Boundless Continent who know how to use the heavenly crystal. They don't even have a name for it. This heavenly crystal is of the lowest quality. It should have been obtained in the chaotic space. Its value is more precious than our mutated immortal fruits. It's just that they don't know about it. It's about time. Let's go out and discuss with Patriarch Lung. It would be great if we can find the mystic iron soul essence and fire jade quintessence in Heavenly Mist City. Chen Hao said, "That's it? How is it?" When Chen Hao crushed the communication talisman, Lung Kungye quickly appeared in front of Chen Hao and asked impatiently. His expression was as if he was afraid that Chen Hao wouldn't be able to pick anything. "I picked some things that I need. There are 234 spirit herbs, and or that I don't know what it is. I prefer such unknown things. Ha! Everything in this storage ring is the same. Patriarch Lung, take a look. No need. It's good that you like them. Why don't you pick more? The value of these things, Lung Konya said, a little embarrassed. Shenhao had said that he would use items to exchange for them. However, if he picked too little, he would feel bad. It's good that they are worth it. Patriarch Long, after seeing your treasury, I have an idea that I would like to ask for your help. These 5 mutated immortal fruits are all given to you as a reward. Lung Kongye's eyes widened in surprise. He suspected that he had heard wrongly. How much would 5 mutated immortal fruits that could increase one's lifespan by more than 30 years be worth? To tell you the truth, Patriarch Long, I still have a few of these immortal fruits. I'm very interested in spirit herbs and all sorts of strange things. Therefore, I would like Patriarch Lung to help me contact a few experts who need mutated immortal fruits and have a treasury as deep as Patriarch Lung's. As long as there is something I need, I can exchange it with a mutated immortal fruit. It's that simple? You're really giving me 5? Haha, it's that simple. However, I need Patriarch Lung to help me. I can go with you. My cultivation is too low. Although I'm not afraid of anyone robbing me. I don't want any trouble. That's not a problem. Don't worry. Old Man is the orthodox demon sect. You have good karma with Huan Huan and Lele, so Old Man won't have any thoughts of killing you and robbing you. To tell you the truth, our Lung clan is already on the verge of collapse. The reason why Old Man wants to befriend you is so that Huan Huan and Lele can benefit from your luck. Hearing Chun Hao's words, Lung Konya was stunned for a moment before he immediately spoke frankly. He was naturally able to discern the meaning behind Chun Hao's words, and it was more or less targeted at him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that he wasn't afraid of anyone robbing him. Instead, he would have directly said that he was afraid of getting himself into trouble. Patriarch Lung, you're too serious. I only said that because I trust Patriarch Lung. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 376. There were hundreds of families and forces in Heavenly Mist City. Although there weren't many people who were as powerful as Lung Kongye, there were many families with deep backgrounds and rich treasures. In less than 4 hours, Lung Kongye contacted an old friend who had 1 foot in the grave. After learning that there was a heaven and earth spiritual object that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years and checking it on the spot, the old man became excited. He was much more nervous than Lung Kongye. All these years, he had searched everywhere for heaven and earth spiritual objects that could increase one's lifespan. He had bought everything he could buy. Many of the more common ones had no effect after eating them, and the rare ones could only be found by chance. How could he not be excited when a heaven and earth spiritual object that could increase one's lifespan by 30 years suddenly appeared? Therefore, when he learned that Lung Kongye only needed to go to the treasury to choose if there was anything he needed, he decided on the spot and told him repeatedly that if the value of the items he chose wasn't enough, he could use primal crystal stones to make up for it. Therefore, Lung Kongye brought a handsome young man that no one had seen before and started to get busy. Lung Kongye looked for one after another, and Chun Hao gave away the mutated immortal fruits one after another. However, he was no longer as forthright as he was with Lung Kongye. He plundered all the high-grade spiritual herbs in the treasury and filled one high-grade storage ring after another. Even if there were no key items that Chun Hao wanted, Chun Hao would take back items that were about the same value or a little more according to Lung Kongye's valuation. Otherwise, the other party would use primal crystal stones to make up for it. Only then would he give away a mutated immortal fruit. In half a month, the two of them went to 15 families. Even Lung Kongye, this old man, was drooling. How many mutated immortal fruits were there? Up until now, including the 5 that he already had, Chun Hao had already exchanged 15, which was a total of 20. However, looking at Chun Hao's appearance, he probably had a lot more. Lung Konya was sure that Chun Hao's current wealth alone was more than the total wealth of the entire Lung family. Brother, is there anywhere else to go? I still have two here. When the two of them came out again and returned to the Lung family, Chun Hao asked with a smile on his face. This guy now had 10 high-grade storage rings on his 10 fingers, and they were the best of the best. But he had more storage rings in his pocket. After a few days of contact, the way Chun Hao addressed Lung Konya had also changed under the old man's request. Cough, cough. I say, brother, how many do you have? How many times have you said 2 pills, 2 pills? This time, there are really only 2 left. That won't do. There are only a few people I can trust. Even if there were others, they wouldn't be able to afford the price. Selling to them would be a loss. How about? Then I'll give them to you. Chun Hao was in a very good mood. He took out the 2 immortal fruits and threw them to the old man. How embarrassing is that? But it's hard to refuse such kindness. Who asked you to have good karma with my precious granddaughter? In. I'll accept it. If you need anything in the future, don't hesitate to tell me. Lung Konya impatiently put away the 2 immortal fruits. He was extremely excited in his heart. Of the 7 immortal fruits, one would last for 30 years. If he swallowed all of them, the effect would naturally not be good. But he wouldn't foolishly waste them. He only needed to swallow one. As for the other 6, he would take them to the central continent and find some powerful people through a large chamber of commerce to exchange for other things that could increase his lifespan. This was 210 years of lifespan. This directly solved his worries, and he felt that the future was bright. That's right, brother. I don't know if I should say something. Lung Konya said after the 2 of them sat down in the palace and got themselves some top-grade wine. Just say it. However, the heavenly fruit is really gone. Chun Hao raised his wine cup and drained it in one gulp. Cough, cough, 7 is enough. I'm talking about another thing. I heard that. You escaped with your Tao companion. Where did your Tao companion go? Oh, you're talking about this. She was taken away by the people of Limitless Immortal Palace. Chun Hao said, That's good, that's good. I thought there was an accident, so I was too embarrassed to ask you. Ha! However, this is very strange. Brother, your talent, opportunity, and luck are much better than your Tao companion. Why didn't she take you away? You can't say that. My Tao companions aren't as simple as they seem on the surface. Moreover, they're both women, and if they follow me to gain experience in tempering, it'll be unavoidable to cause a great deal of trouble. I say, brother, both of our precious granddaughters are great beauties that are rarely seen. Cough, cough, wait, you can't say that. Our relationship is ours. My granddaughter is my granddaughter. She can't be with you. When Lung Yekong heard Chun Hao's words, he was speechless. He directly interrupted Chun Hao and said, However, it's true that they are beauties. Regardless of appearance or talent, my granddaughter isn't necessarily worse than your Tao companion. This time, it was Chun Hao's turn to be speechless. Lung Konya, this old man's proud expression, no matter how one looked at it, it was a little suspicious of old Wang selling melons. However, what the old man said was also true. The pair of sisters seemed to be pretty good. Yes, these 2 girls are indeed not bad. Brother, what I mean is, originally I was too embarrassed to tell you. However, with our relationship now, I have something to say. I'm afraid it's a little inappropriate for these 2 beauties to follow me to the central continent. Inappropriate? What's inappropriate? I feel that it's quite good. Think about it. Why were my Tao companions taken away by Limitless Immortal Palace? The reason is naturally because they... Wait, how many Tao companions do you have? You don't know? I thought you already knew all my information. This little brother has a total of 4 Tao companions. 3 of them were accepted as disciples by Limitless Immortal Palace's Immortal Senior during the inter-sect competition. The other one, which is the one you know, was taken away by Limitless Immortal Palace after we came out of train. The reason why Limitless Immortal Palace is like this is naturally because their innate talent is extremely high. However, the most important reason is that each and every one of them are devastatingly beautiful, crowning the world. There's simply too much of a femme fatale. Think about it. For such a stunning woman to follow me out to train, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. Brother, you were also young before, weren't you? Women, especially beautiful women, still need to be in a greenhouse. Yes, at least under protection. Only then can they grow up safely. This is one of the reasons. Secondly, even if I'm not afraid of trouble, brother, you still have to think about me. I'm young and vigorous. My body is strong. And I've also reached the age where my heart is rippling with love. If I'm together with your two precious granddaughters all the time, what if I can't resist the temptation and make a mistake? How can I face you, brother? PFFF. Cough, cough. Lunka didn't drink a mouthful of wine and directly spat it out. He almost choked. Mother asterisk her. Isn't this kid too direct? Little brother, I'm just speaking the truth. In my restless youth and turbulent passion, my Tao companion isn't by my side, and I have to face two beautiful women every day. How can I hold myself back? Old brother, you've also been young before, so you should understand. Cough, cough. So, little brother's suggestion is that although I have a good karma contract with your two precious granddaughters, it's best that you don't let them go to the central continent with me. I've always been clean, pure, and have few desires. But in the face of temptation, I'm afraid that I really won't be able to control myself. Chunhao drank another cup of wine in one gulp, and after filling Lung Konya's cup, he continued. The color of Lung Konya's old face kept changing. He was tongue-tied. Mother asterisk her, what could he say? He had seen people who were direct, but he had never seen people who were direct to this extent. Brother, what do you think? Seeing that the old man didn't speak, Chunhao pressed on step by step, wanting to take the opportunity to get rid of this trouble. Although what he said was a bit exaggerated, it was the truth. He wasn't Lu Xiaohui. If he really had to be together with these two beautiful sisters full of temptation day and night, even if it wasn't as exaggerated as what he said, his mind would still be greatly affected. This was something he didn't want to see. Cough, cough. Lung Konya awkwardly coughed twice. His white eyebrows wrinkled deeply. After a full half a minute, he looked at Chunhao and said, Brother, you mean you like my two precious granddaughters? I like them. Of course I like them. Your two precious granddaughters, even if they're not devastatingly beautiful, they're at least extremely enchanting. Moreover, they're the legendary sisters. Cough, cough. Which man wouldn't like them? Then, how about you be my grandson-in-law? I'll definitely treat you like my own grandson. The premise is that you have to take over my position in the future, and the children you give birth to must all have the surname Lung. Is that okay? Lung Konya seemed to be holding back his strength. His old face was red and purple, but looking at the tongue-tied and stupefied Chunhao, he finished his words in one breath. Chunhao directly spurted out a mouthful of wine from his nose, spraying all over Lung Konya's face. However, this old man stared at Chunhao with bright eyes, motionless. Moreover, he seemed to be a bit nervous and expectant. Brother, I'd better carry out the contract. I'm just joking with you. No matter what, I'm still of the grandfather's generation. How could I have any thoughts about your granddaughters? Besides, I'll just take care of them when I go to the central continent. You can rest assured, Chunhao said gloomily. He originally wanted to let Lung Konya back off, but he didn't expect that the old man would face the difficulties and want to turn Chunhao into his son-in-law. What the hell was this? Not to mention that the old man had attached conditions. Even if there were no conditions, Chunhao couldn't do that. Everyone has a love for beauty, but admiring it was enough. How could he want one every time he saw one? Tao companions, companions on the path of cultivation. That was a lifetime of mutual help, unswerving loyalty, life and death together, life and death together, life and death together. One more meant one more responsibility, one more responsibility. Having 3 wives and 4 concubines wasn't a problem. The problem was that Chunhao had basically confirmed 4. How could he dare to mess around? Grandfather. Just as Chunhao and Lung Konya entered into an awkward state, 2 pleasant voices suddenly sounded. There was a trace of excitement and joy in the voices. Obviously, the 2 had completed their closed-door training this time and had gained a lot. To be continued. If you like this work, You're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 377. Hearing his granddaughter's voice, Lung Kongye's face twitched. What the F***ck is going on? This brat is so long-winded. No matter how you look at it, it's obvious that he has a desire for my two precious granddaughters, right? But when I shamelessly pushed it out, he immediately backed off and even told me not to worry. How can I not worry? My two precious granddaughters are the future of my Lung clan. No matter what, they have to marry into my family. If it wasn't for the straight-to-the-point and honest gentleman's balls conversation, it would be fine. At least, in his impression, Chun Hao is still a righteous person. But now, he has seen Chun Hao's manly nature. If this brat really can't control himself and ruined his two precious granddaughters, and he doesn't take responsibility, even if he takes responsibility, if he doesn't marry into my family, it's useless. What should I do? Lung Kongye's thoughts flashed, and his expression changed. After pausing for half a minute, he suddenly pulled Chun Hao's hand and sent out a ray of energy to open the door of the palace. The beautiful sisters were holding hands as they skipped into the room excitedly. Ah, Chun Hao, why are you here at Grandpa's place? When the sisters saw Chun Hao, they suddenly stopped, especially when they saw that their grandpa was still holding Chun Hao's hand. They were even more surprised. Don't be rude. Huan Lele, Brother Chun, and I hit it off the moment we met. And we are preparing to become sworn brothers. Since you are here, after Grandpa and Brother Chun are done, you should formally greet your god-grandfather too. Cough, cough, huh? Lung Kongye's words made Chun Hao cough awkwardly. In the end, he didn't show it too much. But Lung Ning Huan and Lung Ning Lu, the two little girls, suddenly widened their eyes and cried out in shock. Grandpa? No, he is younger than us. How can you? After a short moment of shock, Lung Ning Lu directly raised her little hand to express a serious protest. What's going on? Is Grandpa's brain flooded with water? How can he become sworn brothers with him? Especially when the two sisters were still thinking of using that and that to ward off flies. Of course, the most important thing was that the two of them were willing to use Chun Hao as a shield. Naturally, they didn't hate Chun Hao. However, he had only been in seclusion for a few days. How could he be able to ride on the heads of her sisters and become their grandfather? We are friends despite our age difference. Lung Kongye stared at the beautiful sisters with a serious expression and said. Then, he turned to look at Chun Hao and said, Come, little brother, let's now become sworn brothers. Brother, is this really necessary? Yes, of course there was. Come. Asterisk crash. Asterisk following Lung Kongye's voice. 3 incense sticks suddenly appeared on the table. Chun Hao felt his knees go soft, and under the old man's valiant strength, he knelt down without any resistance. At the same time, Lung Kongye also knelt down alongside Chun Hao. Today I, Lung Ningkong of the Lung family, and Brother Chun Hao are sworn brothers. We will share weal and woe together. If we can't do it on the same day, same month, same day, we hope to die on the same day. The granddaughter of I, Lung Ningkong, is the granddaughter of Brother Chun Hao. Chun Hao almost vomited 3 liters of blood. Dying on the same day, same month, same day was still acceptable. After all, this was the ceremony of becoming sworn brothers. It was nothing more than emphasizing that they would share weal and woe together. But this old man was too ruthless, wasn't he? Swearing to become sworn brothers, he directly brought his own granddaughter. Wasn't this like a louse on a monk's head? Obviously, he was afraid that Chun Hao would not be able to help himself. Lung Ning Huan and Lung Ning Lu looked at each other. They didn't know what to feel in their hearts. They felt that it was too absurd and too childish. However, their grandfather's expression and actions were clearly very serious. Moreover, the ceremony of 3 incense sticks was also very serious. There wasn't the slightest bit of carelessness. Brother, are you okay? Come, it's your turn. Just say it according to my instructions. This. All right. Chun Hao knew that at this point, there was no other way. He could only blame himself for his cheap mouth. He went for wool, and came back shorn. He said, "Today, I, Chun Hao, and brother Lung Yekong, become sworn brothers of different surnames. We will share weal and woe together. Even if we can't be born on the same day, same month, same day, we hope to die on the same day. Brother Lung's granddaughter is the granddaughter of I, Chun Hao. I will protect them as if they were my own granddaughters." Good, good. When Lung Kongye heard Chun Hao's words, he immediately praised him in his heart. He didn't mind that Chun Hao omitted the words "same day." After all, he was already an old man. How could he take it seriously? However, Chun Hao's word at the end clearly told him that he wouldn't mess around. Pong, pong, pong. The two of them simultaneously knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times to the incense sticks. Then, they each offered a strand of blood essence into the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. The ceremony could be considered completed. The moment the ceremony was completed, Chun Hao felt a wave of fluctuation in his mind. There seemed to be a special destiny that connected him and the old man together. Obviously, in this world, this kind of contract ceremony really had a certain effect, and not just a simple ceremony. Ha ha! Second brother, in my life, I have only sworn 3 brothers. You're the youngest. I didn't expect your destiny to be so strong. Even I can clearly feel that kind of subtle fluctuation. I have benefited greatly from you. Ha ha! What Chun Hao didn't expect was that Lung Kongye was actually stunned for a moment. Then, he laughed loudly and looked at Chun Hao with incomparable excitement. Brother, you mean? I don't have this kind of feeling when I'm sworn brothers with other people. I also feel that there is a little connection between us. Chun Hao asked with a little surprise. This was also his first time officially becoming sworn brothers. No, only when the difference in destiny is too great will this kind of feeling appear. I hope I didn't hold you back. In any case, I have already benefited from you. It's a fait accompli. I will definitely be your brother. Ha! Huan, Lele, why are you still in a daze? Hurry up and formally kneel to your god-grandfather. Grandpa. The 2 girls blushed. Whether it was Lele or Huan, they were obviously very embarrassed and unwilling. Chun Hao looked at the expressions of the 2 girls, and a smug smile appeared on his face as he said, Huan, Lele, my good granddaughters, after you formally greet your god-grandfather will give you 2 gifts. The beautiful sisters looked at Chun Hao's old-fashioned and smug look. They were so angry that their faces turned red, but they didn't dare to say anything. Hurry up. Why are you 2 little girls so insensible? Hurry up. God-grandfather's gifts must be treasures. Lung Kongye hurriedly urged when he heard that Chun Hao was going to give gifts. These few days, he was so envious that his saliva was dripping. Chun Hao had used the mutated panther fruit to exchange for countless heaven and earth spiritual items that even he coveted. Since Chun Hao was going to give gifts, he would naturally choose 2 precious items. Otherwise, with his financial resources, how could he take them out? The beautiful sisters looked at their god-grandfather's angry expression and knew that they couldn't resist. They could only unwillingly kneel in front of Chun Hao and respectfully said, Granddaughter Lung Ning Huan. Lung Ning Lu pays respects to God-grandfather. Bang, bang, bang. Their little heads were banging, but no matter how one looked at it, it didn't seem like sincerity, but protest. In, good girls. Hurry up. Being able to have 2 lovely granddaughters like you is also the blessing of 8 lifetimes. And I don't have anything good for the time being, so I'll just give you some useful elixirs for now. TSK. You even want to lend us your primordial crystal stones. What can you... Voila! The 2 girls were still muttering in their hearts. They didn't have any hope that Chun Hao would give them anything. He was so poor that he didn't even have primordial crystal stones. What good spiritual herbs could he have? Would it be useful to them? But halfway through their muttering, they were directly stunned by Chun Hao's casual selection. A huge pile of precious spiritual herbs. Some were for tempering the body, some were for awakening the soul, and some were even for containing the mysteries of attributes. In just a moment, they were piled up like a mountain, filling the entire palace with an intoxicating fragrance. Moreover, Every single one of them seemed to be what the two needed right now. Lung Kongye also widened his eyes in surprise. Although he knew that Chun Hao would definitely be generous, he didn't expect him to be so generous. These things were obviously what he coveted and wanted to give to his granddaughter. Chun Hao actually chose all of them in such a short time. However, when he saw Chun Hao holding his precious granddaughter's little hand and helping them up, the old man still felt conflicted in his heart. But he couldn't express anything. Wasn't it right for a grandfather to help his granddaughter up? What was there to be conflicted about? How could he be conflicted? Why are you still in a daze? Why haven't you thanked God, grandfather? Thank you, God, grandfather, the sisters hurriedly said. Their faces were filled with shock and joy. This time, they called him God, grandfather. It was much more comfortable, smooth, and willing. Chin, God, grandfather, why do you have so many good things? Lung Ning stared at Chun Hao and couldn't help but ask. Lung Ning Huan also looked at Chun Hao in surprise. Your God, grandfather, is a rich man. Even if we take out all the savings of our Lung family, it still can't compare to your God, grandfather's wealth, haha. Lung Kongye said with a laugh. He admired his own wisdom and martial prowess. By doing so, not only did he implicate himself with Chun Hao's powerful luck, but he also allowed his two precious granddaughters to have no worries. Although he still felt that it was a pity that Chun Hao couldn't be his son-in-law, at this moment, he also knew that the small Lung family couldn't restrain such a powerful monster. You're too kind, Chun Hao said humbly. My dear granddaughter, God, grandfather, I can see that you're almost at the peak of your cultivation. If you use some of these spiritual herbs, you should be able to trigger divine punishment. Then, God, grandfather, can bring you on your way. Chun Hao had become a grandfather. Naturally, he put on the airs of grandfather and used the words God, grandfather all the time. No, our state of mind is not complete yet. God, grandfather, you have to help us vent our anger first. Lung Ning Li's personality was more cheerful. Coupled with the spiritual herbs, this little girl seemed to be able to call him God, grandfather very naturally. Lung Ning Huan's face was red. She was still a little confused. However, when she heard Lung Ning Li's words, she looked at Chun Hao with a hint of anticipation. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 378. Then what anger? Chun Hao asked in surprise. With the Lung family status in Heavenly Mist City, how could anyone bully them? Yes, this anger must be vented. Brother, help Huan Huan and Lei Lei vent this anger. I can't get involved in this matter, Lung Kongye said. However, you have to be careful of Shimin Wenjian. If brother steps forward, that brat may also step forward. Lung Kongye clearly knew what the sisters were talking about. What's the specific situation? Chun Hao asked doubtfully. It's like this. With the sisters' explanation, Chun Hao understood the reason. For example, Heavenly Mist City, which was located outside of the major regions, the cultivation and growth environment of the native disciples was like a greenhouse in a violent storm when compared to the Eastern continent, Western continent, and other regions that were protected by barriers. The opponents they went out to gain experience were the demon beasts from other regions. Because of the competition between the immortal, devil, and monster realms, they could face a fatal disaster at any time. At the same time, they also had to worry about the terrifying beast tide. It was precisely because of this dangerous environment that these cities had established free exchange and challenge zones. Did they need to fight? It came from the free exchange battle zone. With experts overseeing it, they could fight to their heart's content without any scruples. They didn't need to worry about the danger to their lives. This was the best place to become famous, the best place to increase one's fighting experience, the best place to make money from gambling. It was the place with the most vitality in every city. It was also the place where all cultivators gathered. However, in the past 2 to 3 years, with the rise of the sisters, such an excellent place for cultivation made the sisters feel extremely suffocated. As long as they went out, they only had one chance to fight. After that, they would be violently beaten up. The two women, who were soft on the outside but strong on the inside and unwilling to be humiliated, could choose to directly admit defeat. However, they would rather be seriously injured than admit defeat. This directly led to the two of them returning lying down every time. In the younger generation of the Lung family, there was no one who could help them regain their dignity. If the family's experts wanted to do so, they would directly admit defeat. As long as it wasn't a young disciple, they wouldn't lose face. This made the sisters very depressed, but there was nothing they could do. Good, this is a good place. Let's go, my good granddaughter. God grandfather will take you there. I want to see what kind of bastard dares to bully my good granddaughter. Ha! After listening to the three people's narration, Chun Hao said heroically. He did not care about the so-called peak mid-stage primordial spirit realm cultivators or peak late-stage primordial spirit realm cultivators. It wasn't that Chun Hao had absolute confidence in winning, but that he really needed to assess his own strength. Under the terrifying beast horde, he, who had almost lost his life, had improved greatly in all aspects. Being able to spar with a genius disciple was undoubtedly the best way to assess one's strength. God grandfather, you're the best. Shall we set off now? When Lung Ning Lu saw that Chun Hao had agreed so readily, she was instantly overjoyed. She intimately grabbed onto Chun Hao's arm, and at the same time gave Lung Ning Huan a meaningful glance. Immediately, Lung Ning Huan also grabbed Chun Hao's other arm. Lung Ning Huan was fine, but Lung Ning Li's voluptuous breasts seemed to be pressed against Chun Hao's arm. Such an intimate state made Lung Kongye's beard tremble, and he felt conflicted. That's right. Brother, I'll go accompany my good granddaughter. Go. As a grandfather, you have to be more careful. Yes, more careful. Just teach that girl a lesson and vent your anger, Lung Kongye said with a double meaning. It was as if he was telling Chun how to be more careful when teaching someone a lesson, and also advising Chun how to be more careful when dealing with his precious granddaughter. Huan Lele that. You have to be more careful. Your god grandfather is after all a little too young. Don't cause misunderstandings. If that Chun Hao attacks, you have to be more careful. I don't want you to be carried back. The two girls were embarrassed by their grandfather, and they temporarily separated from Chun Hao. Chun Hao is also speechless. Wasn't this brother a little too sensitive? Look at how obedient these two girls were. Wasn't it normal to support their grandfather? Don't worry. Chun Hao's handsome face shone with confidence and pride. After saying that, he followed the sisters out of the palace. The three of them turned into a stream of light and quickly walked out of the Lung residence. Chun Hao, actually, we still have something that we need your help with. Just as they reached the street, the sisters once again held on to Chun Hao's arms. Their faces were a little shy, but they lowered the way they addressed him from grandfather to Chun Hao. What did you call me? Chun Hao suddenly stopped, frowned, and said with dissatisfaction, Come on, how old are you? If my grandfather is crazy, you'll be crazy too. You're not even as old as us, and you want to be a grandfather. That's right, we'll call you God grandfather in front of grandfather. Now that grandfather isn't here, we'll treat each other as equals. Lung Ning Lu and Lung Ning Huan said one after another. Obviously, no one wanted to treat Chun Hao as a grandfather. Nonsense. I, your god grandfather, am a sworn brother to your grandfather. Heaven and earth can be my witness. How can we talk about age? If you call me by my name in the future, be careful of your butt, Chun Hao said sternly. The two girls saw Chun Hao's expression and were stunned for a moment. Originally, they thought that Chun Hao wouldn't be serious about this. After all, they were all young people. Who would care about such things? But now, Chun Hao didn't look like he was joking with them. Although he didn't have a beard, he gave the two girls the feeling of a grandfather who was fuming with anger. If you're obedient in the future, I, your god grandfather, will still love you. If you don't even know basic etiquette, don't blame me for not caring about you. Chun Hao continued. After a slight pause, he said, Say it. What else do you need my help with? Lung Ning Huan bit her lips, and Lung Ning Lu pouted. After a slight frown, she said unwillingly, God grandfather, that Shimen Wen Jian is like a fly, always trying to curry favor with us. My grandfather also told us that he might be doing it for our Lung clan. Although we won't bother with him, it's too annoying. So, we want God Grandfather to not say that you're our grandfather in front of outsiders, okay? Oh, so you want God Grandfather to be your shield? God Grandfather, please promise your granddaughter. God Grandfather, you're handsome, extraordinarily handsome, talented, powerful, and have great skills. Moreover, you're the same age as Lele and sister. Although it might cause Shimin Wenjian to deal with you. Do you think I'm afraid of him? Lele believes that God Grandfather can kill him with a single finger. Besides, after we're done, we'll follow God Grandfather to the central continent. Nothing will happen. That's right, God Grandfather, please help us. Lung Ninghuan hurriedly said under Lung Ning Li's gaze. A charming smile appeared on Chun Hao's face. He narrowed his eyes and nodded in satisfaction. Yes, you're right. Although God Grandfather has more than this, it's almost enough. Since it's like this, God Grandfather will help you all the way. Let's go. Thank you, God Grandfather. Then we'll call you by your name first. Don't call us good granddaughters in front of others, okay? Okay, only this once. You can't act like this for real. Yes, you must always remember in your hearts that I'm your God Grandfather. You already have 4 God Grandmothers. Do you understand? Yes. The two girls looked at each other, despising Chun Hao in their hearts. Why didn't they realize that this guy was so shameless? He was indeed outstanding, but Lele was obviously flattering him. It was one thing for him to take it seriously, but he was actually afraid that the two of them would throw themselves at him. Did he think that they were love-struck fools? However, although the two sisters thought that way, they were still very displeased with Chun Hao's identity as their god-grandfather. They were especially displeased with the 4 god-grandmothers that Chun Hao mentioned. Although they did not know who they were definitely around the same age as Chun Hao. He wanted them to call him god-grandmothers. God-grandfather, this is the free exchange battle zone. Under the restrictions of the no-fly order, the 3 of them used an hour to travel nearly 10,000 miles before they arrived at the bustling city center of heavenly Mist City. At that moment, Chun Hao saw a silver door that was 1,000 feet tall. Countless cultivators walked in and out. Most of them were young, but there were also middle-aged and old people. However, their realms were all below the primordial divinity realm. Along the way, Chun Hao gained a general understanding of the free exchange battle zone through the 2 girls. As long as one was not in the creation realm, any cultivator could participate regardless of age. There were only 2 types of arenas. One was for those below the Golden Core realm, and the other was for those above the Golden Core realm. There were 100 arenas for each of the 2 types. Other than at night, the arenas were basically full during the day. The seats in the audience were all packed. Some were there to bet, while others were there to observe and comprehend. In short, this was the most lively place in the entire heavenly Mist City. The Lung sisters are here. Look, it can't be. Who is that young man? The Lung sisters are actually so close to him. Could it be that they have confirmed their relationship as Dao companions? That's too fast. What a handsome young man. He's actually an expert in the primordial divinity realm. When the beautiful sisters of the Lung clan, one on the left and one on the right, intimately held on to Chun Hao as they walked into the incomparably enormous martial arts practice grounds, everywhere they passed, it instantly attracted the attention and discussions of everyone. Although the Lung sisters were mentally prepared, this was the first time they had such intimate contact with a man. Moreover, it was a public appearance. Their hearts trembled, and their faces turned slightly red. After this beast tide, the top 10 experts of the younger generation will be re-ranked. Could it be that the Lung sisters want to compete for the top 10 experts? It's very possible. The combat power that the 2 of them had displayed during the beast tide was more than enough. However, they're still quite far from Fairyu. I thought that they would only come after triggering the heavenly punishment. Why are they here now? If you like this work, you are welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 379. Along the way, Chun Hao and the other two appeared and attracted the attention of countless people, especially the envious, jealous, and hateful gazes of the young disciples. To put it simply, if looks could kill, Chun Hao would have died 1,000,000 times over. Countless people were guessing Chun Hao's identity. It was just that no one had guessed it. The only thing they could guess was that Chun Hao was the young man the sisters had saved from the beast tide. However, no one would have thought that the angels of the devil Tao in everyone's hearts, the sisters who attracted the attention of thousands of young disciples in heavenly Mist City, would actually get so close to this young man so quickly. Just by looking at their intimate and ambiguous behavior, one could tell that the relationship between the three of them was not simple. Although the young man's vitality and aura were that of a rare genius, and he was extremely handsome, it was still too fast. It was so fast that no one was prepared for it. In the face of such a scene, where everyone was watching and discussing, most people would more or less behave strangely. If they did not hold their heads high and look very arrogant and proud, if they did not look calm and unfathomable, they would look very pretentious. However, Chun Hao, who was used to such scenes, looked as usual. Surrounded by the two girls, he looked to the side from time to time, as if he was curious about the layout of the martial arts practice field and the crowd. It was as if he did not feel the gazes and discussions of the crowd. First miss, second miss, you've come out of seclusion? Just as the three of them were walking along the passageway in the training ground, heading towards the high-class arena in the depths, a few figures quickly arrived before the three of them, and spoke with a trace of surprise. As they spoke, they cupped their fists respectfully at Chun Hao. The symbols on their clothes were that of the Lung family's disciples. Naturally, they knew of Chun Hao's existence. However, at this moment, their eyes were filled with curiosity and surprise, and there was even a hint of hostility. They just did not dare show it. The sisters were the pride of the Lung family's disciples. How could they not be hostile when they were suddenly captured by another man? Yes. Has that woman appeared these few days? Lung Ninghuan asked. She came 2 days ago. Young mistress has advanced to the late-stage essence soul realm after experiencing the beast horde, said a disciple. Late-stage essence soul realm? The sisters looked at Chun Hao in unison. Obviously, he did not expect that Mo Yuxian would be able to advance. After all, after stepping into the primordial spirit realm, even if one was in the same realm, the difficulty of improving was not small. Although the beautiful sisters knew that Chun Hao had the ability to challenge super geniuses, they had never seen it with their own eyes. He was a little nervous. However, Chun Hao's expression did not change at all, as if he did not care at all. Oh, isn't this Miss Lung? At this moment, a discordant voice sounded. An extremely beautiful young girl, who was surrounded by a group of young men and women, had a condescending smile on her face. Her figure flashed and appeared in front of everyone. The sisters immediately snorted coldly and transmitted, "She is Mo Yuxian. Every time, as long as we come over, she will be there on time." Not bad. You found a Taoist companion so quickly. Congratulations. You've reached the early stage essence soul realm at such a young age. It's not bad that the two of you can find such a Taoist companion. Why do you want to challenge me again? I'll play with you later. Mo Yuxian's expression was a little smug. Although her voice was pleasant to the ears, it was filled with condescension and blatant provocation. The beautiful sister's expressions became extremely ugly. After Mo Yuxian finished speaking, she did not give the two girls a chance to attack. She shot a coquettish glance at Chun Hao and walked into the depths of the training ground. Her slender waist swayed like a proud peacock. She walked very slowly, obviously enjoying the anger and frustration of the two girls. However, she had only walked a short distance when she almost sprained her waist. She suddenly turned her head and glared fiercely at the young man, who made her a little jealous. Huan, Lele, is this the fair you were talking about? You wanted to play with such an ugly old woman? Why don't you step into the essence soul realm and then play with her yourself? I'm afraid I'll be suffocated by her foul smell. All right, stop transmitting your voices. We cultivators should follow our hearts, right? So be it. If she wants to challenge you, I'll take action. If she doesn't want to challenge you, then forget it. I'm really not interested. Chun Hao's voice was neither loud nor soft, but it was clearly heard by everyone. Mo Yuxian, who had already pricked up her ears to listen to the sister's gloominess, naturally heard it clearly. Puffed. Brother Hao, she's not as old and ugly as you say. After all, she's still called Fairy Yu. When everyone heard Chun Hao's words, they looked at each other. The sisters, who were gloomy, could not help but burst out laughing. Their hearts were completely at ease. Since Chun Hao dared to say such a thing, naturally, he did not take the other party seriously at all. Therefore, Lung Ningle, who was more of an outsider, played along with Chun Hao. That's because you don't understand. When we look at problems, we have to look at them from a comparative perspective. Yes, she's indeed a fairy, but compared to our Huan Huan Lele, she's no different from an old sow. If I were her, I would have hidden away long ago. Why would I show off in front of you and deliberately show off your beauty? Cough, cough. There's really no comparison. Mo Yuxian is quite beautiful, but after what he said, look, Mo Yuxian's waist is also quite thin, right? But compared to the sisters, it's like a bucket waist. Yes, yes, her face is also incomparable. She's indeed much older. It seems like her, but is also a little saggy in comparison. Chill. Lower your voice. Do you want to die, Yes, yes. Can't help it. Can't help it. Who's that kid? He seems very powerful, but he's only at the essence soul realm. Isn't he obviously provoking Mo Yuxian? Who knows? Let's go and see. When Mo Yuxian appeared, Chun Hao and the other two who were already eye-catching became the focus of everyone's attention. How could they not hear Chun Hao's words? Moreover, in the entire Heavenly Mist City, there was no one who did not know about the conflict between the sisters and Mo Yuxian. Mo Yuxian stared coldly at Chun Hao. She was so angry that her lips were trembling. In the Heavenly Mist City, no one had ever dared to humiliate her in front of her. Who is this kid? How dare he be so arrogant? Especially under the countless judgmental gazes, she felt her face burning. She was indeed a beauty, a rare beauty. However, even if she did not want to admit it, she had to admit that the sisters, Lung Ning Huan and Lung Ning Lu, were definitely more beautiful than her. Moreover, in terms of talent and potential, they were not inferior to her at all. It was also because of this that she was hostile to the sisters. Moreover, Shimin Wenjian suddenly wanted to take the sisters as his disciples, which made her feel a great sense of danger. Originally, when she saw the sisters being so intimate with Chun Hao, she was happy in her heart. Moreover, when she saw Chun Hao's appearance and aura, she felt a little jealous. Even if beauty was in the eyes of the beholder, Chun Hao, who was obviously younger, was more manly than Shimin Wenjian. Moreover, he was already in the early stage of the primordial soul realm. It seemed that he was not inferior to Shimin Wenjian in any aspect. The only difference was that he was just a matter of time. However, jealousy was jealousy. As long as Shimin Wenjian could not get the sisters, she would be satisfied. She did not believe that Chun Hao's family background could be compared to the Shimin clan. All right, then let's do it on this arena. I will challenge the next one. Lung Ninglu said. The sisters' small faces were filled with dazzling smiles, and the enchanting charm of Devil Dao beauties was fully displayed. Perhaps it was because they had never vented their anger like this before, but their faces shone with a faint blush, making them even more beautiful. Even Chun Hao, as their grandfather, was stunned. One was still fine, but two identical flowers blooming at the same time was a little tempting. Oomph. Hearing Lung Ning Li's words, Mo Yuxian, who had stopped because of Chun Hao's words, coldly snorted and did not continue walking. She took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed her anger. She secretly swore in her heart that if she did not trample these two girls and Chun Hao half to death, her surname would not be Mo. Young master, Lung Ning Lu and Lung Ning Huan have gone to the free exchange arena. However, Miss Mo followed closely behind them. Just a moment ago, when Chun Hao and the other two appeared in the free exchange arena, Shimin Wenjian, who was sitting cross-legged, received a message from the communication talisman. This girl really doesn't know what's good for her. Do you think you can stop the woman that I, Shimin Wenjian, want? If it wasn't for the Mo clan, I would have kicked you away long ago. Her talent is average, her qualifications are average, and her looks can't be compared to the two beautiful sisters. Damn it, today is unavoidable. I have to teach her a lesson and show her the authority of a husband. Even after turning the world upside down, she's still. Young master, Lung Ning Lu and Lung Ning Huan are with a brat. They seem very intimate. Just now, they were provoking Miss Mo. Their words were very unpleasant. That brat is very arrogant. Immediately after, a message from the communication talisman caused Shimin Wenjian, who had already stepped out of the cultivation room, to think of a way to not embarrass Mo Yushin too much, to make the Lung sisters have a good impression of him, and to show off his valiant strength, to instantly turn extremely vicious. Who is that brat? I don't know, but he should be the young man they saved from the beast tide. His realm and aura are the same, and he's not from heavenly Mist City. After receiving the reply, Shimin Wenjian instantly turned into a ray of light and dashed through the streets at a terrifying speed. He was at the peak of the late stage of the primordial soul realm and had already broken through to the half-step to the manifestation realm. Even if he could not fly in the city, his speed was extremely shocking. Senior brother Feng Yin, come over quickly. There's a good show to watch. The Lung sisters are here. Senior brother Jiang, there's a good show to watch in the challenge area. Come over quickly. For a time, countless cultivators fought to spread the news. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 380. The beautiful sisters of the Lung clan and Mo Yushin were the girls who had stirred up a storm in the heavenly Mist City. In addition, Chun Hao, who seemed to be extremely arrogant, caused the entire martial arts practice field to explode, especially the experts of the younger generation of the heavenly Mist City. After the beast tide, everyone had made progress and were no longer satisfied with their rankings. They were originally paying attention to the situation in the challenge field. Once their opponents appeared, they would come over. The conflict between Chun Hao's group and Mo Yushin had unknowingly ignited the flames of war among the younger generation of the heavenly Mist City. When Shimin Wenjian quickly rushed to the challenge field, countless young experts of the heavenly Mist City also used their fastest speed to rush to the challenge field. Miss Lung, I am not your opponent. I admit defeat. When an expert at the peak of the late stage of the embodiment realm obtained victory, Lung Ning Huan directly jumped into the challenge field. However, the winner tactfully chose to admit defeat and said while clasping his fists. After saying that, he directly received his primal crystal stone reward and jumped down from the challenge field. In the free exchange challenge field, anyone who entered the martial arts practice field had to pay an entrance fee of 1 high-grade primal crystal stone. Anyone who entered the challenge field had to pay a basic fee of 100 high-grade primal crystal stones. As long as you didn't lose, you could continue to stay on the challenge field. Moreover, winning the first match would give you 100 high-grade primal crystal stones. From the 1st to the 10th match, you would get 100 high-grade primal crystal stones. From the 11th to the 20th match, you would get 200 high-grade primal crystal stones. From the 21st to the 30th match, you would get 300 high-grade primal crystal stones. So on and so forth. The more consecutive victories, the more rewards you would get. Just now, this disciple had already won 3 matches in a row. He originally wanted to continue, but Lung Ning Li's appearance stopped his victory. However, after deducting the entrance fee and appearance fee, he still earned 199 high-grade primal crystal stones. Of course, other than the rewards set by the challenge field, challengers could also raise the stakes. The challenge field only took 1% of the stakes. Oof. Hiss. Mo Yushin coldly snorted and suddenly turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the challenge field. Lung Ning Lu, if you have the guts, don't admit defeat. I will let you sisters and that arrogant brat, who doesn't know the immensity of heaven, fight. Before he even arrived, his provocative words drifted into the ears of the countless spectators who had gathered around. At this moment, Other than a few disciples who were still fighting in the ring, all the spectators were crowding around Lung Ning Li's ring. It was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Humph, shameless. You've been targeting us sisters for 3 years. Now that you're already at the late-stage Essence Soul realm, you still dare to challenge me, a half-step Essence Soul realm cultivator. You've gone too far. Not only are you old and ugly, you're also narrow-minded, suppressing the young and inexperienced, despicable and shameless. To think that you're called Fairy You. I think you should be renamed to Hag. Today, my brother Hao will play with a hag like you, so I don't have to discuss myself anymore. Referee, I admit defeat. Whoosh. Lung Ning Lu, who had always been a reserved person, had become sharp-tongued today because of Chun Hao's support. The moment Mo Yuxian stepped onto the stage, she immediately spoke out sharply. After she finished speaking, she jumped off the stage with a whoosh. At the same time, she took out 100 upper-grade primordial crystal stones and handed it to the referee who had reached the creation realm. In the past, the sisters could not hold back the anger in their hearts and would rather be injured than admit defeat. But now, firstly, Mo Yuxian's strength had increased again, so she did not have the ability to threaten her. Secondly, with Chun Hao's help, she would not be so stupid as to let this woman teach her a lesson. Moreover, the purpose of this visit was just to vent her anger. When they returned, they would be punished by the heavens. You? What did you say? Lung Ning Lu, you're courting death. Hearing Lung Ning Li's words, Mo Yuxian was instantly enraged. She did not expect Lung Ning Lu, who had always swallowed her insults, to be so arrogant today. She did not take her seriously at all, and what made her even angrier was that she actually called her a hag. Boom! As Mo Yuxian spoke, she was so angry that her aura rose wildly. Her pretty face was filled with boundless killing intent and anger, making her look extraordinary. She was dressed in a snow-white dress, and not only was she not ugly, but she was also very beautiful. She should be elegant and refined like a fairy. However, at this moment, perhaps because of Lung Ning Li's words, or perhaps because Mo Yuxian's expression and aura were too fierce, in the eyes of the crowd, there was indeed a hint of a hag. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Chun Hao, who was being held by the Lung sisters. Lung Ning Li's words made everyone understand that the sisters, who had been oppressed by Mo Yuxian for a long time, had come today to ask this handsome young man to help them vent their anger. However, although this young man had shocked everyone, his aura was only at the early stage of the primordial soul realm. How could he defeat Mo Yuxian, who was at the late stage of the primordial soul realm? Moreover, Mo Yuxian's talent and combat strength were obvious to all. When she was at the middle stage of the primordial soul realm, she was the second most powerful expert among the younger generation in Heavenly Mist City, second only to Shimin Wenjian. How could he help the sisters vent their anger? Moreover, Chun Hao had wantonly humiliated Mo Yuxian just now. Everyone could imagine that if Chun Hao dared to enter the arena, Mo Yuxian would definitely beat Chun Hao into a pig's head without mercy. At this moment, everyone felt a blur before their eyes, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. Shimin Wenjian is here. Whoosh, faced with the enormous pressure and extremely powerful aura, the densely packed crowd automatically parted to form a path. Countless gazes shifted from Chun Hao and the sisters to Shimin Wenjian. Shimin Wenjian had already begun to rush over when the sisters and Chun Hao stepped into the entrance of the challenge area. Under the reports of the communication talismans, he increased his speed time and time again, rushing over like a hurricane. At this moment, his figure was as straight as a sword, and his sword-like eyebrows were slightly raised. His eyes, which were as bright as stars, locked onto the figures of Chun Hao and the sisters from afar. Especially when he saw the intimate posture of the three of them, and under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, it made him feel as if he had eaten a mouthful of stinky dog shit, and he was burning with rage. He was the person who wanted to take the sisters away, but at this moment, The relationship between the sisters and Chun Hao was already like a louse on a monk's head, and the entire heavenly mist city knew about it. How could he take them away? Even if he took them away, he was afraid that he would be pointed at and talked about. How high would the cuckoldry be? This sudden change made it impossible for him not to be angry. Looking at the beautiful sisters leaning on Chun Hao's side like little birds, then looking at the arrogant, despotic, and furious Mo Yuxian on the arena, Shimin Wenjian's heart was filled with rage. And all of this rage was directed at Chun Hao. Although Mo Yuxian couldn't be compared to the sisters, she was still Shimin Wenjian's Tao companion. If anyone dared to defecate or pee on Mo Yuxian, it would be the same as defecating or peeing on him. So how could he tolerate it? Hiss! Shimin Wenjian's sudden arrival made the sisters, who were a little expectant, start to worry, and they were just about to say something to Chun Hao, when their arms suddenly became empty, and Chun Hao suddenly turned into a flowing light and appeared on the arena. Crash! Countless spectators were in an uproar. Originally, most people didn't think that Chun Hao would go on the arena, and Chun Hao's sudden arrival made them think that even if Chun Hao had 10 guts, he wouldn't dare to go on the arena. But they didn't expect that at this moment, Chun Hao would go on the arena. Good. What, are you afraid? Are you still a man? No matter who you are, since you dared to insult me, Mo Yuxian, I will let you know the consequences of insulting me. It's okay to be a coward now, but if you have the guts, then be a coward for the rest of your life, and don't take a step out of heavenly mist city. No one can protect you. Trash, if you don't dare to go on the arena, then get lost. When Mo Yuxian saw that Chun Hao had come on the arena, her eyes shone with excitement, and she repeatedly said, "Good." But halfway through her words, her face became cold, and she looked at Chun Hao with disdain and asked. The reason was that although Chun Hao had come on the arena, he didn't go on the arena, but stood at the edge of the arena. In the spectators' eyes, it seemed as if he had thought of retreating halfway through the arena. The crowd, which was in an uproar, suddenly started to hiss. I thought that he was an awesome person, but it turns out that he is just a coward. Tisk, I was wondering how powerful this guy would be if he was favored by the sisters. Turns out he's just a cowardly turtle. How boring. How can such a person be worthy of the beautiful sisters of the Lung family? Chun Hao was a little dumbfounded, and he was a little stunned. Since he had come out, he naturally wanted to fight, but since he had promised to avenge his beloved granddaughter, he naturally had to do it properly. Although there were no rules in this challenge, at most, he could only seriously injure him. It didn't have much meaning. Of course, Chun Hao wanted to maximize the benefits, and he could raise the stakes here, right? Chun Hao was very clear about his realm, and in everyone's eyes, he could only lose. Because of this, Chun Hao stood at the edge of the arena and negotiated with the other party first, and it wouldn't be too late to go on the arena after the negotiation. Otherwise, if he went on the arena directly, if the other party didn't agree to his conditions, he could only fight. But he didn't expect that this woman's words were so vicious, and she looked as if she wanted to kill him. She didn't care at all whether he went on the arena or not. Under everyone's gaze, Chun Hao was only stunned for a moment, and after a short silence, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a smile full of evil charm and arrogance. He didn't retreat, nor did he move forward, but he spoke. What? You want to identify whether I am a man or not? Sorry, I have no interest in a hag like you, and I don't have any sexual interest. If I fight with you, I'm afraid that I will be stained with your smell. Chun Hao's voice was neither angry nor angry, and it was as calm as water. Coupled with his devilish smile and the words he said, countless onlookers were dumbfounded. This is too arrogant, too vicious. Isn't it too untrue? He is obviously retreating, but he still wants to be a hero with his mouth. What does this mean? If you have the guts, why don't you go on the arena? If you don't dare to fight, then just don't dare to fight. Why do you have to say that you are afraid of being stained with the smell of a hag? Although Mo Yuxian wasn't as beautiful as the two beautiful sisters, she was still a rare beauty, and in the whole heavenly mist city, she was only second to the two beautiful sisters. Even though she had already become Shimin Wenjian's cultivation companion, 98 out of 100 men present here had sexual interest, and the two men who didn't have any sexual interest, one was probably a homosexual, and the other was probably a virgin. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for it, and your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 381. Mo Yushian was so angry that her lips turned blue. She trembled and could not speak. She could not wait to strangle Chun Hao to death. But the rules of the war zone allowed her to maintain her last shred of rationality. If there's no prize, I'm too lazy to fight. 100,000 upper-grade primal crystal stones. Do you dare to bet? Chun Hao's expression changed, and his handsome face flashed with a wisp of coldness and arrogance as he spoke with a trace of provocation. Crash! Countless onlookers burst into an uproar when they heard Chun Hao's words. So he wants to bet. It's not that he doesn't dare to fight. 100,000 upper-grade primal crystal stones. That's not a small number. Could this kid be from the central continent? It seems that his combat strength must be very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to bet 100,000 upper-grade primal crystal stones. How strong can he be? This kid is really arrogant. He's only at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm, while Mo Yushian is at the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. She's the second strongest among the younger generation of our heavenly mist city. Does he think that he'll definitely win? I think he doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Even the monstrous geniuses of the central continent wouldn't dare to do that. After entering the primordial spirit realm, the difficulty of challenging someone of a higher level would increase exponentially. The difference between the early stage and the late stage was like heaven and earth. Even if this mysterious young man had the ability to challenge someone of a higher level, it was only against ordinary cultivators. How could he, who was 2 levels lower, defeat a top genius like Mo Yushian? 200,000 upper-grade primal crystal stones. Do you dare to bet? After a brief moment of shock, Mo Yushian's eyes shone with excitement as she stared at Chun Hao. Not only was she not afraid, she even increased the stakes. 200,000 upper-grade primal crystal stones. Chun Hao seemed to be a little hesitant. He frowned slightly as if he was thinking. He lowered his head and muttered to himself, "Even if I lose, I still have a few 100,000 primal crystal stones. It's enough to play for a while." He suddenly looked up at Mo Yushian and said loudly, "Why not? It's just 200,000 upper-grade primal crystal stones." That expression, that tone, no matter how one looked at it, it was like he was an arrogant but brainless hedonistic disciple. He actually exposed his wealth in front of everyone and acted like a prodigal son. Hundreds of thousands of primal crystals were enough for him to play with for a period of time. Those were high-grade primal crystals, not middle-grade or low-grade primal crystals. However, while everyone felt that Chun Hao was a little retarded, they also began to speculate about Chun Hao's identity. A disciple who could carry hundreds of thousands or even millions of high-grade primal crystal stones with him. What kind of shocking background did he have? At least, in the heavenly mist city, there wasn't a single family's disciple who could be so wealthy. As Chun Hao spoke, he had already jumped into the ring. At the same time, he handed the 2 storage rings to the referee. 300,000. Do you dare? To Chun Hao's surprise, Mo Yushin said again at this time. As he spoke, he took out 3 storage rings as well. This was the most she could take out. Originally, when she said 200,000, she was worried that it would exceed Chun Hao's bottom line. However, now that the 200,000 was confirmed, and Chun Hao had already stepped into the ring, why not try another 300,000? In her eyes, Chun Hao's realm and aura didn't pose any threat at all. He was simply a typical prodigal son, or a guy who loved gambling as much as his life. Chun Hao frowned again, but after a slight pause, he said arrogantly, "Let's bet. I'm not afraid." The 2 beautiful sisters looked at each other and frowned. Obviously, they didn't expect Chun Hao to play to this extent. However, when they thought of their grandfather saying that Chun Hao's wealth was more than all the savings of the Lung family, they understood. Although they had a lot of money, 300,000 was indeed like a game in his eyes. Moreover, Chen Hao might not necessarily lose, just an idiot. Shimin Wenjian, whose face was livid, was obviously going to fly into a rage. However, at this moment, his expression relaxed, and he thought to himself. Mo Yuxian was his cultivation partner, and Chen Hao's words just now were humiliating his cultivation partner in front of him and the whole world. How could Shimin Wenjian tolerate it? However, he endured it. After all, Chen Hao hadn't stepped down from the edge of the ring, and whether to fight or not had not been decided yet. If he showed up, what if Chen Hao was scared off? Now, it was proven that he was right to endure it. Yuxian, I still have 500,000 high-grade, primordial crystal stones. Since this guy is so arrogant, do you think we should be afraid? Take it. Teach this idiot who doesn't know his limits a good lesson with me. Chi, 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 chi. 5 storage rings immediately flew to Mo Yuxian. Mo Yuxian was delighted. When Shimin Wenjian came, she was more or less nervous. After all, she knew what Shimin Wenjian was thinking. This time, she suppressed the beautiful sisters of the Lung family again, and she was afraid that she would be questioned by Shimin Wenjian. However, at this moment, Shimin Wenjian made a move at this time, and obviously he didn't blame her. Who the F***CK are you calling an idiot? To everyone's surprise, Chen Hao, who was on the ring, actually turned his head and pointed at Shimin Wenjian from afar. His appearance was as if someone had stepped on his tail, and he vividly displayed the arrogance of a good-for-nothing disciple. He said, 500,000 primordial crystal stones, and you dare to show off in front of me? If you have the guts, bring out a few million or 10 million. I have plenty. Swish. As Chen Hao spoke, he suddenly took out a few dozen storage rings that were exactly the same, and they were obviously filled with 100,000 high-grade primordial crystal stones. It directly blinded everyone's eyes. The beautiful sisters of the Lung family were speechless. Although they didn't have much contact with Chen Hao's previous performance was not related to his current appearance. It was very obvious that Chen Hao's current actions were clearly intentional. He raised the stakes step by step. This also made the beautiful sisters gradually believe that Chen Hao really had the confidence to defeat Mo Yuxian. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done this. Judge, here are 500,000. Chen Hao sent out a beam of energy and directly sent 5 storage rings to the judge. His eyes were full of provocation and disdain as he looked at Shimin Wenjian, who was below the ring, and said, "Come on, how many do you have? I'll take them all." Shimin Wenjian's face became extremely ugly. Even he didn't expect Chen Hao's wealth to be so shocking. He also didn't expect that Chen Hao would dare to take out so many primordial crystal stones to bet. This made Shimin Wenjian a little suspicious. Did Chen Hao have a powerful trump card? Otherwise, no matter how idiotic he was, he wouldn't give away so many primordial crystal stones, right? After pondering for a while, Shimin Wenjian said coldly, "I don't carry so many primordial crystal stones with me. Kid, if you want to bet big, how about we fight? I'll take you on however many primordial crystal stones you have. As long as you dare, I can go and prepare now. Is that so? Then go and prepare. If you lose 10 primordial crystal stones, don't show off in front of me. Get lost as far as you can. Heck, we can start now," Chen Hao said arrogantly. As he spoke, the aura around him suddenly soared at a terrifying speed. Oomph! Clang! Facing the rascally Chen Hao, Mo Yuxian didn't want to waste time talking nonsense. She snorted coldly and directly drew her sword out of the sheath. A terrifying aura instantly spread out. Her eyes were filled with monstrous anger, and she couldn't wait to smash Chen Hao into pieces. "How should I address you, young master?" At this moment, the judge asked. Chen Hao said. Since they were going to fight, they naturally had to announce their names. Good. Mo Yuxian, Chen Hao. The bet for this battle is 1,600,000 high-grade primordial crystal stones. Both of you, please take your places," the judge said in an excited voice. A battle with such high stakes was unprecedented among the younger generation. The judge was naturally a little excited. Clang! Boom! The moment the judge announced the start of the battle, Chun Hao drew his sword out of the sheath and took a step forward. On the other hand, Emo Yuxian charged at Chun Hao violently. When they were 1,000 feet apart, she stabbed out with her sword. The brilliant sword light contained mysterious runes that vividly displayed the power of her late-stage primordial soul realm. The terrifying energy and pressure caused the heavens and earth to tremble. Wherever the sword light passed, the space seemed to be torn apart. Once an expert made a move, one would know whether or not they were skilled. Emo Yuxian's sword strike had shocked countless young disciples. Even some middle-aged and elderly experts had a look of admiration on their faces. As the second most powerful expert of the younger generation, Emo Yuxian indeed had talent and combat power that ordinary people couldn't reach. However, the aura and power that Chun Hao displayed at this moment was even more shocking. Although he was only at the early stage primordial soul realm, the sword light that he emitted was not much weaker than Emo Yuxian's. Boom! The moment the sword light collided, there was a huge explosion. The raging energy directly caused the arena to be riddled with holes. Under the horrified gaze of the crowd, Chun Hao retreated 100 feet in the face of the terrifying energy shock. On the other hand, Emo Yuxian's body only paused for a moment before she charged at Chun Hao violently again. At the same time, she continuously swung her sword. In the first exchange, Chun Hao was obviously at a disadvantage. Even so, the way the crowd looked at Chun Hao changed. Before the battle, most people thought that the furious Emo Yuxian would probably severely injure Chun Hao in one move. There was not much suspense in this battle. But now, although Chun Hao was at a disadvantage, he only retreated 100 feet and did not suffer any injuries. What did this mean? It meant that Chun Hao actually had the ability to challenge a top genius like Emo Yuxian. As expected, he has the right to be arrogant. Unfortunately, this kid has overestimated his own strength. Third brother, quickly go back to grandfather and report the situation. Tell him that I want 10 million high-grade primordial crystal stones. No matter how much this kid hides, I'm confident that I can win. Shimin Wenjian stared coldly at the two people who had already started fighting in the arena as he spoke to a young man beside him. Sister, do you think he's faking it? He hasn't used the destruction sword principle. I think so. Lele, his goal seems to be to challenge Shimin Wenjian. But it's said that Shimin Wenjian cultivated the illusion sword principle to the peak of the mastery stage a year ago. Grandfather said that he might have already condensed his sword principle into a sword soul. Then what should we do now? I really don't know how he has so many primordial crystal stones. It turns out that he's borrowing from us. If he really wants to fight with Shimin Wenjian, sister, why don't we inform grandfather? If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it at Chidian. Come, your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 382. Chi. Boom. Boom. In an instant, the two of them were engaged in close combat. After stepping into the primordial spirit realm, the energy around one's body would return to its original state. One could condense all the true core strength in one's body and sword. Every move they made seemed ordinary, but the power they unleashed was terrifying. What surprised Chun Hao was that Emo Yuxian's sword skill was extremely unpredictable, appearing and disappearing like a ghost, as if there was no path to follow. With a myriad of changes, each strike aimed at Chun Hao's vital points. Fortunately, Chun Hao had already turned the solitary sword technique into his instinct. Under the suppression of his opponent's strength, he was still swift and fierce. He used offense as defense and used the profundity of his strength to the extreme. Amazing! Emo Yuxian has cultivated the misty sword technique to the highest level. She deserves to be the second expert in Heavenly Mist City. Chun Hao is even more amazing. He is obviously suppressed, but he is not flustered at all. What is more amazing is that he can seize every opportunity and use offense as defense. If it were not for his inferior strength, Emo Yuxian would definitely not be his opponent. That's not necessarily true. Mo Yuxian's strongest point is not her swordsmanship, but her palm technique. The power of the Mo family's extermination palm is not to be underestimated. I just don't know what level she has reached. Humph. If this is all you have, you will be defeated. Extermination palm. For a full 5 minutes, Mo Yuxian thought that she could defeat Chun Hao with her sword skills, but she didn't expect that Chun Hao's fighting strength was so strong. She obviously had the absolute advantage in strength, but she always felt like she was being attacked by Chun Hao's attacks. She couldn't display the power of her misty sword's secret art at all. She was in a rage and finally couldn't bear it anymore. After exchanging a blow, she abruptly retreated and shouted in a delicate voice. She waved her hand and slapped out. Boom! In the blink of an eye, a palm shadow that exuded an aura of extermination rose into the air. It was at least 1,000 feet in radius and violently enveloped Chun Hao. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth within a radius of several hundred miles surged crazily, causing the sound of air being torn apart. The momentum was extremely shocking. What a powerful force! Great accomplishment of the extermination palm. How is this possible? It's because of the gloves. High-grade spirit treasure. It must be a high-grade spirit treasure. When they saw this, aside from Shimin Wenjian, a hint of shock shone in the eyes of all the onlookers. Extermination palm was the Mahis clan's strongest ultimate technique, and only blessed realm martial artists could practice it to mastery realm. But now, Mo Yuxian, who was only at the late primordial spirit realm, was displaying the aura of the extermination palm, which clearly far exceeded her cultivation level. F*CK. If I had known earlier, I would have reminded her. If I had tied or lost this match, it would have been over. At the very least, this brat would have been seriously injured. He would definitely not bet with me again. At this moment, Shimin Wenjian cursed inwardly. He had only made a verbal promise to Chun Hao. If Chun Hao went back on his word, there was nothing he could do. This was a loss of tens of millions of high-grade primordial crystal stones. Even for him, it was a huge fortune. Therefore, at this moment, he was a little regretful that he had not reminded Mo Yuxian. He even hoped that Chun Hao could use some kind of powerful trump card to block Mo Yuxian's move. Palm technique? Palm technique, then. Feeling Mo Yuxian's powerful palm, Chun Hao's fighting spirit rose crazily, and his powerful soul power was instantly raised to the extreme. He crazily activated the true essence in his body, and like a river bursting through a dam, it rushed out along a special route in his meridians. There was no energy overflowing, but the aura of his whole body caused a violent explosion in the surrounding air. What was more shocking was that the color of Chun Hao's skin actually changed at this moment. It shone with a faint golden light, giving off a metallic texture. What kind of body refining technique is this? So powerful! Could it be the legendary Immortal God King's Immortal Golden Body Technique? Impossible! The Immortal Golden Body Technique has been lost for a long time. This kid is so young. How could he have mastered it? Even a manifestation realm expert with the immortal bloodline would not be able to do it, let alone him. Moreover, if the Immortal Golden Body Technique is mastered, his whole body should be golden, like a golden man. He is only emitting a trace of golden light. It must be some kind of powerful body refining technique. When Chun Hao's skin shone with a golden light, the countless elites who had rushed over to watch the fight, including the blessed realm elites who had already raised their auras to the max and were prepared to save Chun Hao at any moment, had shocked expressions appear on their faces. The Immortal God King in the whole boundless lands cultivation world was a well-known existence, and there were many legends about him. 10,000 years ago, he was a top expert whose name shook the Immortal Dao, Demon Dao, and Demon Dao. Although he was not the strongest in battle, no one dared to offend him because of his abnormal physical body, which was close to the immortal realm. His self-created technique, the Immortal Golden Body Technique, was famous in the whole boundless land, and almost all the disciples in the cultivation world could see it in the historical materials of their sections. According to legend, The immortal golden body technique was the only peerless technique that could be cultivated to the point of immortal bloodline. Once activated, the physical body would turn golden, and one's strength would skyrocket, and his defense would be extremely strong. Chi! Ow, 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 ow. Without giving the crowd too much time to be surprised, Chunhao violently blasted out with his palms, and in an instant, it was as if he had turned into 18 giant dragons, brazenly meeting Mo Yuxian's terrifying extermination palm. Boom! Terrifying energy swept out like a hurricane. The instant the palms came into contact with each other, it exploded with a rumble. The protective barrier of the stage could not block the sound waves. They were like bolts of lightning that exploded in the ears of the crowd. Some of the young disciples who had gathered from the low-level arenas to watch the battle were directly shaken to the point of bleeding from their 7 orifices, and they screamed repeatedly. At this moment, even the primordial spirit realm experts activated their energy to protect themselves. Countless people widened their eyes in shock, and the 2 beautiful sisters sucked in a breath of cold air. Just a moment ago, when they saw Mo Yuxian's terrifying strength, they were worried for Chunhao, and their hearts were in their throats. But now, all of that was replaced by shock. Obviously, even they did not expect that Chunhao's strongest points were his body-refining technique and palm technique. This kid is actually so strong? Shimin Wenjian also widened his eyes in horror. Mo Yuxian relied on an upper-grade spiritual treasure to display the power of the extermination palm, and he knew very well how strong it was. Even if he wanted to take it, he would have to use his ultimate move. Originally, he had thought that Chunhao would definitely lose, and he was very depressed, afraid that Chunhao would shrink back and not fight with him. But now, the power that Chunhao displayed, although the final result had not been seen, made him understand that Mo Yuxian was probably unable to defeat Chunhao. That's good. Then let me handle it. In the arena, Chunhao and Mo Yuxian rolled back at the same time. While they were still in the void, they spat out blood. However, Chunhao only rolled for a few hundred meters, and then he stabilized himself. With a light shout, he suddenly rushed toward Mo Yuxian, who was still rolling. Stop! Chunhao, she has lost. At this moment, the referee suddenly released an extremely powerful energy, which seemed to have condensed into a soft and elastic energy ball, so that Chunhao was not shaken and could not move forward. Lost! Mo Yuxian's aura can no longer be used, and your attack now will be fatal. You win, the referee said straightforwardly. I didn't lose. At this moment, Mo Yuxian suddenly shouted in a stern voice. She was full of unwillingness and anger. Then let's continue. I have no objection. Chunhao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said. In Chunhao's view, there was no clear winner. Although he had raised his physical strength to the extreme and activated his strongest palm technique, the dragon-subduing palm. But in the end, it was a tie. He did not expect that the referee would give him the victory. The referee shook his head and also released an energy to stop Mo Yuxian and said, Mo Yuxian, you should know the rules of the challenge area. As the referee, I can't let any genius die in the arena. Just now, your aura was stagnant, and Chunhao could kill you. This is fair. Go down. Hiss. Mo Yuxian was directly sent out of the arena by the referee. This is the bet you deserve. Put away. Chunhao wins. The challenge continues. After the referee took the 1% commission, he put all the bets in front of Chunhao. The protective barrier of the arena was temporarily removed. Hiss. Right at this moment, Shimin Wenjian ascended the combat ring swiftly like a bolt of lightning. However, he stopped at the edge as well, and he stared at Chunhao with a cold expression as he said, Amazing, amazing. I didn't expect your combat strength to be so strong. Boy, you won't regret what you said just now, right? I can wait for you to recover to your peak state. Well, I said just now. What did I say? 10 million high-grade primal crystal stones. Why? Are you going to regret it? Well, do you have 10 million? Chun Hao's handsome face flashed with a trace of evil charm, and he asked in reply, "At most an hour, I promise I have it. Sorry, I don't have time to wait. I won't wait after the deadline. Referee, that's all for today. I win this battle, and there are still 100 high-grade primal crystal stones as a reward, right?" Cough, cough. Yes. Are you sure you don't want to continue? The referee thought there was a bigger commission waiting for him. Unexpectedly, Chun Hao did not want to continue the battle, and even asked for the 100 high-grade primal crystal stones as a reward. Was this still the playboy who squandered money like it was dirt? I'm sure. Okay then. Here you go. Boy, are you kidding me? Shimin Wenjin's face became extremely ugly, and he stared at Chun Hao and said eerily, "You just realized? Do you think I'm an idiot? Who doesn't know that you've condensed a sword soul, and it's hard to guarantee that you won't be like that hag and have a high-grade spiritual treasure. I'm just at the early stage of the primordial soul realm, and although I've cultivated some body-refining techniques, and it's not a problem for me to deal with that hag. As for you, I don't want to be a boy who gives money away. If there's a chance in the future, let's spar again." Chun Hao smiled and flew to the side of the sisters. The sisters were a little dumbfounded and could not react for a moment. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 383. Under everyone's gazes, the beautiful sisters of the Lung family surrounded Chun Hao and walked out of the free exchange battle area at a leisurely pace that seemed slow but was actually fast. Chun Hao, who was extraordinarily handsome, looked calm and composed. He stood out from the crowd and did not look like a good-for-nothing disciple at all. It was only at this moment that everyone faintly noticed that Chun Hao's frivolous actions before the battle that seemed like a farce were done intentionally, and it just so happened that he'd successfully deceived everyone. Although he was only at the early stage of the primordial soul realm, the combat power he displayed was admirable. In particular, Mo Yuxian had displayed strength that was beyond her level, but Chun Hao still won. Moreover, he seemed to have won easily. Although he had chosen to avoid Shimin Wenjian in the end, no one felt that there was anything wrong with it. As Chun Hao had said, most people had heard that Shimin Wenjian had already condensed a sword soul and might even have a high-grade spiritual treasure to help him. Moreover, he was at the peak of the late stage of the primordial soul realm. Chun Hao's choice to avoid him was a very wise decision. "My good granddaughter, is this enough?" Lung Ning Lu turned to look at Chun Hao's handsome side profile and asked, "It's enough. God grandfather Chun, you provoked Shimin Wenjian on purpose?" Unknowingly, there was a trace of admiration in the sister's eyes. "You can't say that I did it on purpose." Chun Hao said calmly, "Grandfather, I thought that I could fight Shimin Wenjian, but something went wrong." "Something went wrong?" "Something went wrong with cultivation. It's a pity that we lost 10 million high-grade primordial crystal stones. But that's about it. They didn't go too far, so we can't be too ruthless. Take these primordial crystal stones we won as compensation from Mo Yuxian." Thank you, God Grandfather. God Grandfather, you're the best." The sisters accepted the primordial crystal stones without any hesitation. Who asked this God Grandfather to be so rich? Anyway, these primordial crystal stones were just a drop in the ocean to him. But to them, it was not a small fortune. "Brother." Right at this moment, the space suddenly fluctuated, and the old man, Lung Kenya, strangely appeared in front of the three of them. When he saw the beautiful sisters and Chun Hao sticking together with a happy and sweet look on their faces, the old man's face was immediately filled with black lines as he exclaimed, "Brother, why are you here?" "Grandfather." The two beautiful sisters released Chun Hao at the same time and respectfully saluted Lung Kenya. Lung Kenya glared at the two girls, and then he looked at Chun Hao and said, "The two girls said that you want to challenge Shimin Wenjian, and you want to bet 10 million? That's it. Did you lose?" "No, God Grandfather didn't fight with Shimin Wenjian. We won against Mo Yuxian and earned 800,000 high-grade primal crystal stones. God Grandpa gave it to us." Lung Ning said happily. It's okay, it's okay. Let's go back first. Long Kongye sent out 3 bursts of energy that directly enveloped the 3 of them. The space fluctuated, and after a moment, the 4 of them returned to the Long clan. When Long Kongye learned the details from the beautiful sisters, his face was filled with a complicated and speechless expression, especially when he learned that the beautiful sisters used Chun Hao as a shield to attack Shimin Wenjian. It made him even more depressed. What the F***CK is this? The reputation of the beautiful sisters, at least in the entire Heavenly Mist City, was probably finished. What should he do? Should he announce that Chun Hao was his sworn brother? This was undoubtedly the best way. However, if he really did that, firstly, the efforts of the beautiful sisters would be wasted, and secondly, when he saw the beautiful sisters together with Chun Hao, he already faintly felt a dangerous aura. This aura made him intuitively feel as if he had made a wrong move from the beginning, and he felt as if he had lifted a rock and smashed it on his own feet. The old man could only turn a blind eye to it and wait for the future situation before making a final judgment. Phew. 3 days later, in the cultivation room, Chun Hao let out a long sigh of relief and woke up from the comprehension of the secular sword principle. At this moment, his whole body was covered with sparkling and translucent sweat, and his clothes had long been soaked. He looked like a drowned rat that had been drenched by a rainstorm, and his face was a little pale. This mortal sword Tao is really extremely difficult. If I want to truly comprehend it, it's utterly not something that can be accomplished in a short period of time. The general outline of the Grand Tao is useless towards comprehending it. Chun Hao thought in his heart. No one knew that Chun Hao had provoked Shimin Wenjian because he really wanted to fight with him. However, when he faced Mo Yuxian, he was depressed to find that the secular sword principle had shrunk to one side like a tortoise when he didn't have the intention to kill her. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't activate the aura of the destruction sword principle. It was fleeting and unpredictable, and he couldn't exert any power at all. That was his only confidence in challenging Shimin Wenjian. If he couldn't use it, how could he fight? That was asking for trouble. If it weren't for the fact that his physical body had broken through its limits again and again in the terrifying beast tide, and had been refined by the primary outline of the Great Path to become so powerful that it surprised even him, he wouldn't have been able to deal with Mo Yuxian. Although the judge had declared him the winner, he knew that he only had the advantage of his body and soul. If he really went all out, he might not be able to defeat Mo Yuxian. At most, Mo Yuxian would die, and he would be seriously injured. Spiritual weapons can't meet my needs anymore. I have to get some spiritual treasures. I can't rely too much on equipment and weapons, but I have to be prepared. It's better to be safe than sorry. Unfortunately, I still lack the fire essence jade marrow to fuse with the old god. He had found the celestial stone, the dark iron soul, and several kinds of materials for the next step of fusion, but there was still no trace of the fire essence jade marrow. According to the mysterious existence, the fire essence jade marrow could only appear in the core of a volcano that was millions of years old. It was a kind of spiritual object of heaven and earth with a certain level of intelligence. Once this material was fused, the ability to control fire would reach the extreme, and it was definitely one of the most important factors in refining weapons and pills. No matter, I'll think of a way to find it after entering the central continent. The 2 little girls attracted the heavenly punishment today. As their grandfather, I have to go and see. The Lung sisters attracted the heavenly punishment. It was definitely a big matter for the Lung family. Tens of thousands of disciples of the Lung family all gathered at the back mountain of the Lung family, a place where disciples could attract the heavenly punishment. On the huge mountain peak, the Lung sisters were already sitting cross-legged, and the essence, energy, and spirit of their bodies were slowly revolving. Obviously, they had reached their peak state in all aspects. Brother, there shouldn't be a problem, right? When Chun Hao arrived, he was directly called to Lung Kongye's side. No problem. In these 3 days, Huan and Lele have refined several kinds of elixirs that you gave them. Although the heavenly punishment is powerful, it shouldn't be a problem for them to withstand it. Are they going to attract the heavenly punishment at the same time, or one by one? At the same time. Their mind, bloodline, and realm are completely the same, and they have telepathy. When they attract the heavenly punishment at the same time, they can combine the heavenly punishment into one, increasing its power by more than 3 times. This is a good thing for them. Brother, I have something to discuss with you. What is it? Juan and Lele are 2 years older than you, and because of Shimin Wenjin's matter, the whole heavenly mist city treats you as their Tao companion. Since you've already done this, I feel that you should keep it a secret for the time being. When you're in front of others, don't make things difficult for the 2 girls, and just let them call you Brother Hao. Also, don't call me old brother in front of others. Hee, this is no problem. I was wondering why you directly sealed off our conversation, so it was because you were worried about this. Cough, cough. But, brother, you must always remember that you're their grandfather. Lung Kongye reminded him a little awkwardly. This was also something that couldn't be helped. Before the problem of the Lung family's descendants was solved, the sisters were the only support of the Lung family. In the future, they had to inherit the Lung family's business and incense. A person like Chun Hao obviously wouldn't be bound to a small family like the Lung family, and he didn't meet his requirements at all. However, the reason why Lung Kongye relaxed a little of his control over the 2 girls and Chun Hao was because he, who had obtained 7 mutated immortal fruits, didn't have to worry about this matter for the time being. Moreover, he had a new plan. His sons had failed to live up to his expectations, and he was forced into a corner, so he could only erupt once again. Of course, he had to do it secretly, otherwise he would be laughed at by the world. An hour later, the sisters finally attracted the heavenly punishment at the same time under the anticipation of the Lung family's members. 2 terrifying tribulation clouds condensed above their heads at the same time. At first, they were separated by 3,000 feet, but as time passed, the 2 terrifying tribulation clouds actually started to fuse due to the special connection between the sisters. It was the first time Chun Hao saw the birth of a fused tribulation cloud. Although its might was far from being as terrifying as his tribulation cloud, when he released his powerful soul perception to probe, Chun Hao's black eyes shone with a trace of extraordinary splendor. He gradually closed his eyes and immersed himself in the process of comprehending the fusion of tribulation clouds. Crack! Boom! The heavenly punishment finally descended. It was also at this moment that the sisters suddenly stood in the air, clenched their fists, and raised their heads to welcome the terrifying heavenly punishment. At the same time, Chun Hao also suddenly opened his eyes, and there was a trace of surprise in his eyes as he looked at the sisters. Amazing! Amazing! This kind of mysterious heavenly punishment fusion and superimposition has increased the power of their heavenly punishment by more than 3 times. It's a pity that the time is too short and the fusion is too fast. Chun Hao thought to himself with a little excitement and regret. This kind of mysterious fusion method had completely exceeded Chun Hao's understanding. Chun Hao was very clear about the power of fusion techniques, but he could only fuse techniques that complemented each other's attributes, or fuse energies that did not contradict each other. However, the heavenly punishment of the sisters was completely the same heavenly punishment, and they would definitely repel each other. However, they had actually fused together. What did this mean? This meant that as long as Chun Hao could comprehend this mysterious fusion method, he would be able to fuse all of his ultimate techniques, battle skills, and various attribute mysteries, and energy into one. How much would his battle prowess increase by? It was unimaginable. In the new month, can you give your guaranteed monthly vote to Dark Mountain? Thank you. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 384. Chun Hao didn't stay for long. After confirming that the sisters had successfully resisted the heavenly punishment, he returned to his room. The beautiful sisters needed to go into seclusion for a period of time to stabilize their realm, and Chun Hao had a new understanding. Moreover, He also needed to comprehend the secular sword principle as soon as possible. Even if he couldn't exert its power, he had to find a way to not drop the ball. Otherwise, this strongest sword principle would really be of little value. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. During this time, Shimin Wenjian, led by Patriarch Shimin, paid a visit to the Lung clan. His main purpose was to investigate the situation of the Lung sisters. However, he was tactfully rejected by Lung Kongya. Although Lung Kongya didn't say it explicitly, he knew that the sisters already had someone in their hearts. As for who it was, Shimin Wenjian naturally guessed that it was Chun Hao. However, ever since Chun Hao defeated Mo Yuxian, he never appeared in Heavenly Mist City again. However, the rumors about Chun Hao were investigated by some people. Although there were many people with the same name, they still locked onto the leading figure of the Eastern Continent's younger generation, Chun Hao. After 2 months, the Lung sisters finally stabilized their realm and aura and came out of seclusion at the same time. That night, under Lung Kongya's personal escort, 3 figures stepped into the giant teleportation array from Heavenly Mist City to the Central Continent. At this point, Chun Hao had finally arrived at the legendary Eastern Continent, the strongest region of the boundless world, after 1 year and 4 months after leaving the Eastern Continent. The Central Continent is the core area of the boundless world. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extremely dense, and dangerous places are everywhere. The immortal Tao, devil Tao, and demon Tao coexist. There are countless powerful sects and clans. Among the 3 Tao, the top ones are the Limitless Immortal Palace, Limitless Devil Palace, and Limitless Demon Palace. Apart from the 3 Tao, there are also a few powerful races that are enough to deter the Central Continent. No one can truly rule the Central Continent. A terrifying beast tide can erupt anytime and anywhere. It is the most dangerous region in the entire boundless world. The Central Continent is the real battlefield between the boundless world, which is also the boundless planet, and the foreign demon beasts, alien races, and other invaders. Countless cultivators had risen here, and countless cultivators had fallen here as well. Here, every cultivator has the responsibility of protecting the boundless continent. The one who dominates the entire middle continent is not the Limitless Immortal Palace, nor the Limitless Demon Palace. Instead, it is an alliance of forces that spread across the entire middle continent, regardless of righteous or evil, regardless of race, regardless of the 3 paths. These forces are all forces jointly established by some top experts. Everything is based on strength, maintaining the fairest competition. Regardless of age or cultivation, the best way for a cultivator who has stepped into the Central Continent to obtain the greatest amount of treasures and wealth is to join one of these organizations. There are no restrictions on them, and they don't have to bear the obligations of a sect or clan. Chun Hao organized all the information about the Central Continent in his mind. After more than a year, he was finally going to set foot on the powerful Central Continent. He couldn't help but feel a trace of excitement. It was a dragon and an insect. Here it was the true beginning. The glory and glory of the past had become a thing of the past. When he stepped onto this land, he was just a rookie. Everything had to start from scratch. Bound by the binding talisman, Chun Hao stood in the middle with the beautiful sisters tightly hugging his arm. The beautiful sisters who were stepping into the Central Continent for the first time were also excited. They were filled with anticipation for their future journey, but they were also a little nervous and lost. They had grown up in Heavenly Mist City. Apart from occasionally going out to see the world under the guidance of their grandfather, they didn't have a chance to experience the world by themselves. Therefore, they were naturally excited and nervous at this moment. The teleportation array from any city to the Central Continent wouldn't teleport to a specific city. Instead, it would teleport to a random region. As for where it would be teleported to, it was impossible to determine. In fact, they had to stay in the teleportation channel for at least half a day. This was equivalent to teleporting to a higher plane. Without sufficient strength, it was impossible to obtain the qualifications to survive in the Central Continent. This kind of teleportation was equivalent to an indirect test. Only after fulfilling the requirement for half a day would the teleportation be successful. Otherwise, they would be sent back. Chi, in the transparent and mysterious teleportation channel, endless darkness entered their eyes. Occasionally, there would be a flash of light, but with their cultivation, they couldn't sense it at all. After more than 10 minutes, the teleportation continued. This was the first time the three of them experienced a teleportation channel that had a concept of time. Moreover, their minds were completely clear. As time passed, when an hour had passed, a violent energy and pressure suddenly assaulted them, causing the three of them to wake up from their excited state of mind. It's time to test us. Juan Lele, I won't be helping the two of you in this passageway. Chunhao's pitch-black eyes sparkled as he glanced at the two girls and said, "Yes, God, grandfather, we will definitely pass." The two beautiful sisters said at the same time. Their beautiful faces flickered with a wisp of determination. That's good. As time passed, the pressure produced by the energy became greater and greater. The pressure also became stronger and stronger. The impact on the physical body and soul also became greater and greater. For hours later, the two beautiful sisters had already closed their eyes. Their delicate bodies trembled slightly as they hugged Chunhao's arm tightly. The energy around their bodies was also activated. Quanfu's body and mind were immersed in resisting the dual pressure of the physical body and soul. According to Lung Kongye, ordinary cultivators could only withstand the teleportation channel's test after reaching the peak of the mid-stage primordial soul realm. However, the two beautiful sisters' talent, combat strength, and temperament were much stronger than ordinary cultivators. Although they were only at the early stage primordial soul realm, they would definitely pass as long as there were no accidents. There was no need to worry. Unlike the two beautiful sisters, Chunhao opened his eyes and looked at the endless darkness and the occasional flickering light. His handsome face was calm and did not even need to activate the slightest bit of energy. This little bit of physical and mental pressure had no effect on him at all. As the pressure became greater and greater, the sisters' energy also became stronger and stronger. They could not help but hug Chunhao's arm harder and harder. Although Chunhao tried his best to restrain his mind and not feel the charm and gentleness coming from his arm, the sisters' strength could not help but hit Chunhao's cranial nerves again and again. When he accidentally lowered his head to look at the two girls, he could see two white twin peaks that had been squeezed out of shape through their necklines. Compared to men, women are really too inconvenient. If I'm not careful, I'll be taken advantage of. Calm down, calm down. This is my god-granddaughter. Chunhao muttered in his heart. He could not help but sigh at his charm. When the two beautiful sisters were in front of their grandfather, they would always keep a distance from him and would not dare to be too intimate. However, when their grandfather was not around, they would always use him as a shield and directly stick to him, hugging his arm like little birds. It was as if they were very attached to this feeling. They did it so naturally that Chunhao could not refuse. They were his granddaughters, weren't they? It seemed normal for them to seek a sense of security from him. However, whether it was Chunhao himself or the two beautiful sisters, they all felt that this grandfather-granddaughter relationship was more or less a little absurd. Half a day later, violent fluctuations suddenly came from the teleportation channel, and bright rays of light bloomed. The two beautiful sisters who were immersed in suffering suddenly felt their bodies and minds lighten, and all the pressure disappeared. At the same time, their essence, chi, and spirit seemed to be bathed in warm sunlight and completely recovered in a moment. We passed. The two girls opened their eyes at the same time and said with a trace of excitement and surprise. However, when they saw that the two of them were hugging each other, and Chunhao was standing beside them with a whip tied around their slender waists, looking like he was leading a pet, the two of them were stunned at the same time and said, "God, Grandpa, what are you doing? Why are you tying us up?" The energy storm is too strong, and it can be said to be turbulent. God, Grandpa can't bear it, so I can only use this method. And it's fine now. We're about to reach the central continent, Chunhao said with a serious expression on his handsome face. As he spoke, he untied the whip. "Oh, God, Grandpa, can we discuss something with you?" The two girls didn't seem to understand the meaning behind Chun Hao's words. After obtaining their freedom, they stuck to Chun Hao's side at the same time. Lung Ning looked up at Chun Hao and said with a hint of coquettishness, "What is it? When we reach the central continent, we want to follow God Grandpa, but with our age and appearance. If we keep calling you God Grandpa, even if we don't feel awkward, God Grandpa will feel awkward too, right? Elder sister and I have already discussed before coming here. How about we call you Young Master, okay? The two of us will pretend to be God Grandpa's subordinates. Young Master, you can't. Besides, you can't be my subordinates. Otherwise, how can I explain it to Elder Brother? In front of others, you could just call me Elder Brother or Boss. However, the two of you can't be so intimate with God Grandpa in the future. God Grandpa is young. It will affect your reputation. Besides, if the four of you mistresses misunderstand, God Grandpa won't be able to explain it. That's fine. Why don't you introduce us to them first? Grandpa said that they are all at Limitless Immortal Palace. How about we go to Limitless Immortal Palace to find them first? Limitless Immortal Palace isn't that easy to find. Furthermore, it's not a place where we can go whenever we want to. Just do as I say, we're almost there. Chi chi chi. Just as Chun Hao finished speaking, the space tunnel suddenly disappeared. The three of them instantly turned into three streams of light and appeared in the void. A desolate and ancient aura blew against their faces. The sky was filled with thick, dark clouds. It was gloomy and oppressive, but it was also filled with dense heaven and earth spiritual energy. I recommend a novel Seeking Death. It's a Xuanwan type of book that is worth reading. If you're interested, please support it. To be continued. If you like this novel, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 385. After a brief moment of surprise, the three of them determined the direction and turned into three streams of light, disappearing on the spot. Along the way, Chun Hao sensed the aura of many cultivators, all of whom were young experts in the primordial soul realm. Obviously, these cultivators had just been teleported to this area, just like the three of them. The cultivators who came in through the teleportation array in the cities outside the central mainland were usually teleported to a safe area within a 10,000-mile radius of the city. There was basically no danger in this area. There were also rarely any demonic beasts, unless there was a beast tide. However, the teleportation array would not be activated during the beast tide. Otherwise, how could the disciples who were teleported here survive? An hour later, a huge city that stretched as far as the eye could see appeared in front of the three of them. The city walls alone were 10,000 feet high. Even from 1,000 miles away, they could sense a vigorous, vast, and majestic aura. Under the hazy sky, it emitted rays of light. In front of City Gate that was 1,000 feet long and 3,000 feet high, there were 100 primordial soul realm experts standing on both sides. They were dressed in martial attire and had a stern aura as they guarded the city gate. Two elders in the creation realm stood guard. When Chun Hao and the other two arrived at the entrance of the city gate, many young cultivators lined up in a 100-man queue, waiting to be checked by the two elders in the creation realm before entering the city in an orderly manner. Some cultivators who flashed their identity tokens were allowed to enter without being checked. However, the young cultivators who were obviously entering the eastern mainland for the first time had to undergo a detailed check by the two elders in the creation realm before they could enter. The appearance of Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters naturally attracted the attention of many cultivators. Firstly, the aura of the two women was in the early stage primordial soul realm. Chun Hao had barely reached the peak of the early stage primordial soul realm. Being able to pass through the teleportation array at such a realm meant that there was something extraordinary about them. Secondly, the aura of the three of them was very young. Thirdly, the two beautiful sisters had the same peerlessly beautiful appearance and Chun Hao's peerlessly handsome appearance. Both of them were existences that attracted everyone's attention. The Central Mainland is really a gathering place for geniuses. We've just arrived, and we've already seen such top geniuses. Most of the young cultivators thought to themselves. Chun Hao and the other two were no exception. While others were sizing them up, they were sizing up others as well. Chun Hao could sense that at least one-third of the cultivators in the group had extremely powerful auras. Any one of them would be a peerless genius capable of stirring up a storm in the eastern continent. Old Wang, look at that little fellow. When Chun Hao and the other two stood in the queue and waited for the inspection, two people at the entrance brought out several strange, enchanted treasures to perform various tests on the cultivators. One of them, an old man in Blessed Realm, sent a voice transmission to the other. Not bad, not bad. It had been a long time since he had seen such an outstanding young man. This young fellow's life aura indicates that he's only about 20 years old. It's already quite impressive for him to reach the peak of the early stage essence soul realm. That's right. The key is that his chi and blood are extremely dense. It's obvious that he has cultivated an extremely powerful body refining technique. His physical body must be very strong. It was just that he did not know how powerful Zhang Xian was. Nevertheless, just based on these 2 points, it was already hard to come by. Those twin girls are not bad either. After nearly half an hour, it was finally Chun Hao's turn. Seniors, my name is Chun Hao. I'm from the Eastern Continent's Immortal Dao District. I'm 20 years old. My realm is at the peak of the early stage essence soul realm. This is the identification of the Eastern Continent's Immortal Dao 10 sex, said Chun Hao as he cupped his fist when he saw the inspection process in front of him. Eastern Continent's Immortal Dao District? Everyone, including the two old men, was deeply surprised when they heard Chun Hao's words. The Eastern Continent was at the bottom of the cultivation world. If Chun Hao was ordinary, no one would be surprised. However, although Chun Hao's realm was slightly lower, he was definitely not ordinary. Everyone thought that Chun Hao was from a powerful city outside the protective barrier. They did not expect him to be from the Eastern Continent. That's right, said Chun Hao respectfully when he saw everyone's gaze. He was neither servile nor overbearing, and he was not ashamed of the Eastern Continent at all. Not bad, not bad. I didn't expect the Eastern Continent to produce a talent like you. Let's begin the inspection. As the old man activated the special detection Dharma treasure, Chun Hao could clearly feel his soul, body, and bloodline fluctuating. It was as if several streams of energy were swimming in his body, inspecting him clearly. Before coming here, Chun Hao already knew that this inspection was not to check their strength. It was to check if they were the transmogrification of a high-level alien race. After a while, the three of them completed the inspection and stepped into the majestic city together. Whoosh, before the three of them could size up the city, a group of people swarmed over. Hello, 3 of you. I'm a member of the Heaven and Earth Guardian Group. The Heaven and Earth Guardian Group is one of the top guardian groups in the Boundless Continent. Welcome, this is our information. I'm the Eve family's on from the Beyond Guardian Group. In an instant, Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters became the target of countless promoters. Some of the cultivators who had just entered, or those who came later, were left out. It couldn't be helped. Although Chun Hao and the other two's realms were not high, these smart people could see that they had potential. If they could rope them in, they would naturally be rewarded handsomely. Under the bombardment of the crowd, Chun Hao and the other two received jade scrolls that stored information about the various guardian groups and factions. Only then did they walk out of the crowd. Brother Hao, sister, our cultivation is the lowest, but we're the most popular. Hee. Which one should we join? We're not joining any of them, Chun Hao said. We just need to go to an alliance's testing center and obtain the guardian status. We'll register another guardian group. We don't lack money. Our main goal is to cultivate. We don't need to work for any organization. Oh, we'll do it ourselves? It depends on the situation. If there's a good mission, we can join another guardian group to have fun. There's no restriction anyway. The guardian status certification was something that all cultivators in the Middle Mainland had to go through. The cultivators who first stepped into the Middle Mainland could only become a level 1 guardian, regardless of their cultivation. Only by completing enough mission points and meeting certain conditions could they raise their guardian rank. Guardians could join forces and register as a guardian group. A guardian group also had a strict ranking assessment. In fact, a guardian group was equivalent to a mercenary group, and a guardian group was a mercenary group. It was just a change of name. Although Chun Hao didn't receive any specific information before coming here, he had a pretty good guess about it. The three of them read the information in the Jade Scrolls as they walked. In a huge city, cultivators were all in a hurry. There were not many people on the streets. Moreover, most of the palaces belonged to a certain guardian group, sect, or family. Taverns of various sizes would appear at intervals. Many cultivators gathered there. Is this the alliance? After 2 hours, the three of them crossed a distance of nearly 10,000 miles and finally arrived in front of a huge and magnificent palace in the center of the city. This palace was 3,000 feet tall and nearly 100 miles in diameter. It was a circular palace that spanned across the center of the city. One could not see its full appearance at a glance. It was only at this time that cultivators gathered from all around the city became denser. Haha, fourth brother, it's all thanks to you this time that we completed the last level 3 mission. Our guardian group can finally be promoted to a level 3 guardian group. Yes, fourth brother, you're worthy of being the leader of the younger generation in Emerald Smoke City. We've been here for so many years and still haven't been able to leave. Fourth brother? Why, are you attracted to him? A middle-aged man lowered his voice and said, "We can't provoke these peerless geniuses." No, that young man looks very familiar. He looks very similar to someone I know. If he's still alive, he might be comparable to this young man. You mean Xin Hao from the Eastern Continent? Yes. Let's go. I didn't expect there to be someone who looks so similar. Huh, the young man called fourth brother said. This young man was none other than Lin Hao, the young master of the Emerald Smoke Chamber of Commerce in Emerald Smoke City. The few cultivators who were obviously much older with him were all cultivators from Emerald Smoke City. After Chun Hao led the 2 women into the palace, they arrived at the Guardian certification area under the guidance of the beautiful female attendant. When they arrived at an empty window, Chun Hao cupped his fists and said to the old man at the window, "Hello, senior. We'd like to take the Guardian certification assessment." Oh, the old man lazily seemed to be immersed in meditation. When he heard Chun Hao's words, he opened his eyes and looked over with a hint of surprise. Young man, not bad. It's been a long time since I've seen such a young, primordial spirit realm cultivator. However, you're only at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm, so you'd better go home and cultivate. It's not that easy to be certified as a guardian. If you fail, you can only take the assessment half a year later to avoid wasting another half a year. Senior, we've been teleported here. Please help us with the certification, Chun Hao said with a smile. Obviously, the old man's kind reminder had mistaken them for native youth from Song Yuan City. Ah, you've been teleported here? Not bad, not bad. Young man, you have a bright future ahead of you. Each person has to pay 1,000 upper-grade primordial crystal stones. Enter your information into the Jade Scroll. Although your abilities should have met the requirements, you still have to pass the assessment. The old man was even more surprised when he heard Chun Hao's words. Thank you, senior, Chun Hao and the other 2 said. After taking out 3,000 upper-grade primordial crystal stones and handing them to the old man, the 3 of them entered their information into the Jade Scroll. After the assessment is completed, bring your results to me to receive the Guardian certification token. Go in. The old man waved his hand and released a wave of energy, opening the door and allowing Chun Hao and the other 2 to enter the assessment hall. The hall was only 1,000 feet in radius. Inside, there were more than 100 cultivators divided into 10 rows, waiting to be tested. After Chun Hao and the other 2 entered, they all looked at them. Most of the people revealed a look of amazement. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it on Chidian. Come. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 386. Chen Hao brought the two girls to the team with the least number of people and stood at the back. The young cultivator standing in front of Chen Hao turned back to look at Chen Hao and transmitted his voice. "Brother, did you teleport here from another area?" His gaze swept across the two girls, and he nodded slightly without any evil intentions. This cultivator's aura was obviously at the beginning stage of the essence soul realm. He had a head of golden, curly hair and a tall and muscular body. He was half a head taller than Chen Hao. His face was rough, and his most unique feature was his thick and long eyebrows. They were actually connected into a line and were also golden in color. "Yes." Chen Hao nodded slightly and transmitted his voice. "I'm the first king, a cultivator from the Flaming Lion tribe in Songyuan City. Nice to meet you." "Chen Hao, these two are my junior sisters," Chen Hao said, and did not reject them. This young cultivator's aura was so strong that Chen Hao faintly felt that it would be a little tricky. However, there was no hostility. "Brother Chen's aura is very strong. I wonder if there are any factions that you like to join? If not, we can join forces to register a guardian team. I wonder if Brother Chen is interested. We will compete based on strength, and the strongest will be the leader. I have already invited a few cultivators from the Immortal Dao, Demon Dao, and Fiend Dao. They have all just passed the guardian test. With the three of you, we can form a team of 10 people and register a guardian team." The first king said. "Oh, Brother First King, why are you taking the test so late?" Chen Hao asked in surprise. "This test is not difficult for people like us. I have been waiting outside for a month. It is not easy to choose suitable teammates. The other 6 people are the same age as us. They are all at the beginning stage or peak stage of the essence soul realm. If we train together, it will be good for everyone's improvement. Brother Chun, are you interested?" "Sure. After we're done with the test, we will look at the other teammates before I decide." "How about that?" "Ha, good. I guarantee you will be satisfied. I still have a good eye." The first king grinned and cupped his fist at Chen Hao before turning his head confidently. Subsequently, Chen Hao told the two women about his conversation with the first king. Chen Hao already had plans to establish his own guardian group. Firstly, he knew very well that he wasn't the kind of person who was willing to be subordinate to others. Although joining other powerful guardian groups could allow his guardian level to rapidly increase, it would lack self-tempering. Especially towards the end, it would be more and more unworthy of the name. Secondly, Chen Hao wanted teammates who had truly gone through hardships with him. Only such a team would be meaningful. This demonic youth, the first king, intuitively felt that he would be a good teammate. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Moments later, all 10 doors opened at the same time. Most of the hundreds of cultivators walked out of the door with a hint of excitement. There were also a few who were dejected. It was obvious that they had failed the test. They cursed and left the hall with their tails between their legs. Next batch. After all the cultivators came out, a dignified voice came from the door. Chen Hao and the others quickly passed through the door and entered a spacious hall. To Chen Hao's slight surprise, he was clearly within the palace. Yet a chasm that was like a natural chasm had appeared before him. It was an entire 3 kilometers wide, and when he looked down, it was pitch black and filled with a terrifying and dangerous aura. In front of them was a tunnel that was 100 meters long. It was raised at a 30-degree angle, like a cannon barrel. This chasm is 10,800 feet wide. It is also the first test. There is a 100-fold gravity field condensed on the chasm, and it will seal your ability to use your vital chi again. Unless you're a cultivator in the creation realm, you will definitely not be able to fly. You can only rely on your speed to rush through the tunnel in one go. Once you step out of the tunnel, all your strength will be restricted. If you are too slow, you will not be able to jump to the other side and will be eliminated. So, you must increase your speed to the peak in the tunnel. An old man in charge of the test said in a low voice, "From now on, the first in the first row to the first in the second row will take turns. Begin. It's no big deal." The cultivator in the first row said confidently. He took a step forward and rushed into the cannon barrel that was 100 meters long. With a loud bang, he shot out like a cannonball. If he did not have the 100-fold gravity field, he would definitely be able to rush up hundreds of thousands of feet and fly dozens of miles away. But once he rushed out of the cannon barrel, the hundredfold gravity field caused his speed to decrease drastically. He twisted at an angle that was completely beyond everyone's imagination. Fortunately, he was fast enough. When he reached the edge of the tunnel, his body had already landed on the platform on the other side, but his hands were just in time to grab the railing at the edge. It caused quite a number of cultivators to break out in cold sweat. It was especially so for the cultivators who did not have an advantage in terms of speed. They became even more nervous. In the subsequent tests, a number of cultivators performed amazingly. With a light lift, they flew dozens of meters above the platform and landed steadily on the platform. This caused quite a number of cultivators to applaud. But there were also 6 cultivators who failed. They screamed as they fell into the deep valley and were eliminated. "Brother Chun, I'll wait for you on the other side." Finally, when it was time to discuss the young first king of the Fey race, the first king confidently said to Chun Hao, "Boom!" With a loud rumble, his massive body suddenly turned into a stream of light. Although he was only at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm, the speed he displayed was much faster than most of the cultivators at the mid-stage of the primordial spirit realm. He was almost 100 meters above the platform as he landed steadily on the platform. Everyone, including the old man in charge of the test, nodded approvingly. He said, "Not bad. This young demon is obviously from the Flaming Lion clan. He's not good at speed, but he's only at the early stage of the primordial spirit realm. To be able to achieve such speed is really rare. He's a good seedling." Next. After that, the 9 cultivators performed average. Finally, it was Chun Hao's turn. "Relax. If you can withstand the test of the traditional passageway, there's basically no problem with this test. It's just a test of attack power, reaction speed, and attack speed." When Chun Hao saw the sisters' nervous expressions, he reminded them telepathically, "Throw away all distracting thoughts and adjust yourself to your best condition. With your abilities, you'll definitely pass." After Chun Hao finished speaking, he rushed into the cannon barrel in a flash. The young demon king, who was already standing on the other side, had a hint of anticipation and excitement. Of course, the hot-bloodedness of youth made him naturally view this test as a contest between him and Chun Hao. Chun Hao naturally understood this, but he still did not use his full strength. His powerful soul and the precise calculation ability that came from his other self had already calculated the precise gravitational field value from the speed and downward acceleration of the cultivators in front of him. Then, according to the elevation of the 100-meter cannon barrel, Chun Hao knew very well how much he could increase his speed to be able to suppress the young demon king, and it would not be too shocking. This was just a test. No matter how good one's results were, they would still be qualified as a Class 1 guardian. There was no need to expose too much in front of everyone. Boom! Shick! At the moment Chun Hao rushed out, the 100 or so cultivators watching knew that Chun Hao's results would definitely be very high. But with the first king in front of them, they were not too surprised. However, the old man who presided over the test revealed a hint of surprise. Others might not have sensed it, but the old man was a blessed realm elite. The change in Chun Hao's speed in the short 100 meters in the cannon barrel was clearly under his control. Unlike the others, Chun Hao's speed did not increase in a straight line. Instead, it went through a few small, undetectable twists and turns. What did this mean? It meant that Chun Hao was not charging forward at full speed, but was adjusting his speed at the instant he rushed out. Even Chun Hao did not expect that the old man would notice his subtle movements. Amazing. He's almost 150 feet now. 105 meters. He's more than 5 meters taller than me. As expected, he's not simple. However, speed isn't my forte. When the first king saw Chun Hao cross the height of the platform, he was slightly surprised. But he was not discouraged. Instead, it stirred up his competitive spirit. Soon, it was Lung Ningle's turn. However, when the old man asked Lung Ningle to go up, the little girl hesitated for a moment before she said to the old man, "Senior, can we sisters go together?" "Sure." As long as you're not afraid of affecting each other, it doesn't matter. You two should have telepathy, right? You two are pretty good twins. You can start now. Thank you, Senior, Lung Ningle said respectfully. Lung Ning, Lu respectfully said. The two sisters looked at each other and suddenly turned into two streaks of light that shot into the cannon. If they were ordinary people, their speed would definitely be affected if they went together, but the sisters had telepathy, and they were like one person. Not only would their speed not be affected, but their speed would also be increased to a higher level when they worked together. Lung Ningle made such a request because the little girl was not very confident. However, the old man agreed to it because they were not the first people to make such a request. In the world of cultivation, twins who had telepathy were basically inseparable. They were like one person. Most of the time, even in a duel, they would attack at the same time, and usually, no one would object to them winning with numbers. Chi. When the sisters walked out of the cannon barrel hand in hand, everyone, including Chun Hao, widened their eyes in shock. So fast, they're that powerful? Chun Hao was a little speechless. After the sisters entered the primordial soul stage, Chun Hao was not sure how powerful they were when they worked together. However, at this moment, just the speed they displayed made Chun Hao certain that it was definitely comparable to his limit. 200 meters. Amazing, really amazing. This speed is almost twice as fast as ours. The first king said in shock, Brother Chun, how should I address them? Lung Ning Huan, Lung Ningle. Chun Hao replied with a faint smile. He looked at the sisters with a hint of excitement on their faces as they landed beside him. You two little girls, don't work together in the next test. Keep a low profile. Seeing that the two of them couldn't help but lean on him like little birds, Chun Hao's father transmitted his voice. Oh, God, grandfather, we're afraid we won't be able to pass. The sisters replied at the same time. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 387. The second test is the attack power test. You'll pass if you light up 100 purple crystals. You'll be eliminated if you don't. Everyone has 2 chances. Let's begin. Under the old man's lead, everyone entered the second level. The space was very small, only 1,000 feet in radius. A testing pagoda monument stood at the core. On the monument, 200 purple crystals were evenly distributed from the lowest to the highest. An ordinary mid-stage essence soul realm cultivator can light up 100 crystals. A late-stage essence soul realm cultivator can light up 150 crystals, and a half-step to creation realm cultivator can light up 200 crystals. Brother Chun, among our other 6 teammates, the least one has lit up 120 crystals. In terms of attack power, he's close to an ordinary mid-stage essence soul realm cultivator. The highest one has lit up 143 crystals, close to a late-stage essence soul realm cultivator. The first king transmitted his voice as the 100-odd disciples began the test. There was a confident smile on his rough and imposing face. That's very good. Did you meet the other 6 here, or did you know them from the beginning? I only knew 2 of them at first. They're cultivators from Song Yuan City like me. One of them is from the immortal Dao called Bailey Lian City, and the other is from the Fiend Dao called Jing Tiangang. Brother First King, forgive me for being blunt, but with your talent and cultivation, you must be disciples of the big families or sects in Song Yuan City, right? Why did you form a separate guardian group? The first king smiled and said, the 3 of us are indeed disciples of the top families in Song Yuan City. We're also the direct descendants of our families, and we're the most talented disciples. Therefore, we're free. Our mission is to reach the peak of the martial Dao. Our families won't restrict us in any way, and that's what we want. Chun Hao was slightly taken aback when he heard the first king's words, but he immediately nodded in relief. Indeed, a true expert's achievements would be limited if they were bound to the trifling matters of their families. The first king then introduced the other 4 to Chun Hao. The other 4 were 2 pairs of Dao companions. One of them was from a more powerful EC archipelago, while the other was from the northern continent. Everyone felt that the attack power test was much easier than the speed test. When it was the first king's turn, not a single one was eliminated. Most of them were concentrated between 100 and 110 stones. Only a few disciples had a score above 130 stones, and the highest was 138 stones. As a member of the Flaming Lion clan, the first king had a natural advantage in terms of strength. With a single punch, he lit up 158 of them. The first king was very satisfied with this result. He was only at the early stage Essence Soul Realm, but his offensive strength had already exceeded the late-stage Essence Soul Realm. With such results, he was confident that it would not be difficult for him to beat Chen Hao. Of course, if he knew that Chen Hao had easily defeated a genius expert of the late Primordial Spirit Realm, he probably would not think so. Moreover, when Chen Hao defeated Mo Yuxian, his cultivation level had not yet reached the peak of the early stage Primordial Spirit Realm. Not bad, young man. You must be the first king of a sure family, right? Exactly. Senior, you flatter me. First king cupped his fists and said when he heard the praise from the elder presiding over the test. Although he spoke modestly, the pride of a young man could not be concealed at all. However, when Chen Hao casually struck with his palm, the first king's eyes widened. 160 stones. A moment later, the beautiful sisters' results were announced one after another. They were exactly the same, 113 stones. The third test is a test of reaction speed and movement technique. Follow me. The elder led Chen Hao and the others to the third level. A narrow passageway that was thousands of feet long and only 15 feet wide appeared before everyone's eyes. There was no mysterious aura in the passage. The four walls looked like an ordinary passage made of huge stones. Even with Chen Hao's powerful soul perception, he could not detect any abnormalities. In this passage, you will be attacked 1,000 times without any warning or pattern. You will only be able to sense a trace of energy fluctuation when the attack is launched. The attack is not very powerful, and it will not injure you. However, every time you are hit by an attack, a point will be deducted. If you are above 600 points, you will pass. If you are below 600 points, you will be eliminated. You do not need to try to sense it. Even blessed realm elites will not be able to sense any aura from the traps in the passage. What you need to do is to react as quickly as possible when the attack appears. Remember, you can only dodge, not block. If you block it, you will hit. Time limit. You must pass through the passage within 1 minute. Otherwise, you will fail. Begin. The old man said in a low voice. When the first cultivator heard the old man's words, he sucked in a deep breath and stepped into the passage. Hiss, as the cultivator moved forward quickly, crimson red rays of light that looked like lasers appeared out of thin air in a bizarre manner. They shot out without any warning, and the angles were incredibly tricky. They were also incredibly fast. In the beginning, there were dozens of them, and the cultivator avoided them all. But as he went deeper, clear banging sounds came from the cultivator's body. Every time a sound rang out, it meant that the cultivator was hit. The further he went, the higher the frequency of the sound. In less than a minute, when the cultivator reached the end of the passage, he was already covered in cold sweat, and his face was pale. It was not because he had used up a lot of energy, but because he was extremely nervous, and he had used up too much of his spirit. He panted heavily and stared at the old man who had arrived at his end at some unknown point of time. You hit 403 times. Try harder next time, the old man said in a regretful tone while shaking his head. Senior, can you give me another chance? I was too nervous, and I didn't use my full strength. I can do it. Go down. It's not that easy to become a guardian. You are indeed nervous, but nervousness is also a problem of your temperament. There's no need to say anything else. The old man waved his hand and released a wave of energy, sending the first cultivator who took the test to the group of people who were eliminated. All of you listen up. The number of people who are eliminated in this test is the highest in every batch. There are often cultivators who find all kinds of excuses, saying that they are nervous, that they are tall, or that they are at a disadvantage. These are all excuses. This test is very fair. As long as your body doesn't fill up the entire passage, it's fair. Although the time and distance of each attack is irregular, it is the same, and the reaction time is the same. All right, let's continue. The old man stood at the other end of the passage and said in a dignified manner. After that, among the nearly 100 people, most of them were between 600 and 700 points, and 7 people were eliminated again. Moreover, most of the people who were eliminated were older people. Judging from their depressed expressions, it seemed that this was not the first time they had taken this test. Moreover, it was obvious that they had all failed in this segment. I can't lose again this time. When it was finally First King's turn, this tall guy thought to himself. Although this was not his strong point, he had more or less underestimated his opponent in the first 2 segments. Without any pressure, although he had tried his best, it was definitely not his limit. His goal was to be the regiment commander. Although the test could not reflect his true combat power, how embarrassing would it be if he was suppressed by Chun Hao in every aspect? First King took a deep breath and cut off all distracting thoughts. He adjusted his state of mind to a state of emptiness, and his essence, qi, and spirit surged to an unprecedented level. Qi, his tall and mighty body, immediately turned into a stream of light and charged into the long and narrow passage. Hiss as the crimson laser-like attacks appeared. The First King's huge body nimbly flashed. Relying on his precise senses, he did not waste the slightest bit of time and energy. Every red light narrowly brushed past him. He moved forward 6,000 feet and did not cause any explosions. So powerful, too powerful. His reaction speed and body movement have reached such a level. I'm afraid that even a peak late-stage primordial soul realm can't do it. Is he going to win completely? Impossible. No one in the primordial soul realm can win completely. Only those half-step to manifestation realm experts who came from other regions and took the test later can win completely. It's hard to say. Although reaction speed will increase as one's cultivation level increases, it is more of an innate advantage. Pa. At 8,000 feet, a crisp pa sounded in everyone's ears, destroying any possibility of a complete victory. Roar. First King let out a beast-like roar. His golden curly hair immediately stood on end as he charged forward again. Powerful, the legendary Golden Lion King? This fellow is a rare genius who gets stronger under pressure. At this moment, even Chun Hao was a little surprised by First King's performance. Of course, it was just a little surprise. Pa. After 2 more crisp explosions, the First King rushed out of the tunnel and appeared in front of the old man who had a look of surprise on his face. 997. He had only been hit 3 times. This was definitely beyond everyone's imagination. It seems that this fellow won't even give me a chance to keep a low profile. Chun Hao's lips curled into a bitter smile. He thought to himself, but fortunately, its body movement and reaction speed. Although body movement and reaction speed were also a great measure of combat power, they were not very important compared to absolute power. This was what most people thought. If it was a test of attack power, Chun Hao would rather lose to First King to keep a low profile. How good was it to pretend to be weak? If he really let everyone know that he was strong, how would he have the chance to make a fortune? As expected of the Sure family's #1 genius. Good job. The elder could not help but exclaim, this is the best result in the past 10 years among all the testers in Songyuan City who were below the middle stage of the primordial soul realm. After a few people, it was finally Chun Hao's turn. Chun Hao's performance in the previous 2 tests had been astonishing. At this moment, everyone present, including the elder, was undoubtedly looking forward to Chun Hao's test. Chun Hao took a deep breath. His handsome face was still as calm as ever, and no one could tell how deep he was. He did not seem nervous at all. The others did not know about the secret competition between Chun Hao and First King, but First King was very clear about it. This time, it was all because of the explosive power of his little universe. He originally had the confidence to win, But for some reason, when he saw Chun Hao's expression, he vaguely felt a little uneasy hiss. Chun Hao took a step forward and rushed into the long and narrow tunnel. To be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 388. Chun Hao's powerful soul perception spread out. He knew that if he wanted to surpass the first king, he had to be extremely focused. However, the moment he stepped into the tunnel, he did not use the free and unfettered wave treading steps. Although the free and unfettered wave treading steps was ever-changing, the key was the word human. The essence of it was to confuse the opponent, to lead the opponent by the nose, and make the opponent make the wrong judgment. If the opponent closed their eyes and gave up their senses, it would be like a blind cat catching a dead mouse, and it would be easier to hit the target by mistake. As for the mechanisms and restrictions, they were preset with hundreds of different and irregular procedures. They would not be confused by the free and unfettered wave treading steps. Therefore, Chun Hao could only rely on his reaction speed to make the most appropriate dodging in the shortest time possible. Hiss, 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 under the laser-like scarlet attacks. Chun Hao's speed was astonishing, and he was not any slower than the first king. It looked extremely thrilling, but he passed through it by a hair's breadth. 400 feet, no sound. 500 feet, 600 feet, no sound. 700 feet, still no sound. Seeing this, the first king was even more nervous than when he was taking the test. His huge fists were tightly clenched, and his eyes were wide open. His thick golden eyebrows were like two raised dogtails. Seeing that Chun Hao was about to hit him, his breathing became hurried. 800 feet. Under everyone's shocked gaze, there was still no sound. The first king's rough and towering face was sweating. What did this mean? It meant that the result before 800 feet had already surpassed him. Although the timing and attack point of each person was different, it was always easier at the beginning and harder at the end. The first king could only hope that Chun Hao would make a mistake in the next 200 feet. In the blink of an eye, Chun Hao had finally reached the final juncture. Hiss, 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 dozens of turbulent flows suddenly attacked. At this moment, everyone knew that Chun Hao had reached the most crucial moment. However, no one believed that Chun Hao could completely avoid this wave of attacks. No one, including the old man in charge of the test, thought so. After all, the density of the last round of attacks and the time interval between them made it difficult for even an elite in the initial stage of Blessed Realm to avoid all of them. They could not afford to make even the slightest mistake. Not only did they have to accurately judge the sequence of the seemingly chaotic attacks, they also had to ensure that they did not make even the slightest mistake, or else they would definitely be hit. However, what shocked everyone was that Chun Hao's body twisted strangely at this moment, like a water snake flashing a few times at high frequency. Then, Chun Hao appeared in front of everyone. From beginning to end, not a single sound was emitted. A complete victory. Everyone, including the old man, was dumbfounded. After a few seconds of silence, waves of exclamations and applause broke out. "Brother Chun, I'm impressed." First King cupped his fists and said with a burning gaze. The old man could not help but exclaim, "Young man, I didn't expect you to perform so well. I dare not comment on your speed and attack power, but you've broken the record of Song Yuan City in this test. In Song Yuan City, no one below the middle stage of Primordial Soul Realm has been able to achieve a complete victory. You're the first. Speed and reaction are my strengths. I was just lucky." Chun Hao wiped the sweat off his forehead and said with a smile, "This fellow is not simple. In our batch, his speed is second only to the two beauties from the demonic path who came with him. His attack power is the best, and his reaction speed and movement are even more terrifying. His aura is still very young. I really can't compare to him. He's definitely a true genius in the Central Mainland. I just don't know how strong he really is. His real combat power is definitely not weak. Anyway, it's not something we can compare to. Damn it, this is my third test, and I finally passed. There's no pressure in the last test. As the crowd discussed in low voices, the test continued. The beautiful sisters from the Lung family performed equally well this time. Their reaction speed and movement speed were very good. Moreover, what surprised the crowd even more was that their results were exactly the same. They were both hit a total of 184 times. Moreover, the time and location of the hits were almost the same. It was just that the angle of the attack was different and the location of the hit was different. The last test was the endurance test of the physical body and soul. It was also the most important test. However, to Chun Hao, the beautiful sisters, and the other disciples who came through the teleportation channel, it was a piece of cake. They passed the test easily. Not bad, not bad. When Chun Hao brought the two ladies to the old man who had signed up for the test, the old man looked at Chun Hao in surprise and said. Then, he handed the token that symbolized a Class 1 guardian to the three of them. This is the description of the token. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask other cultivators. Congratulations on becoming the guardians of the boundless land, the old man said as he handed 3 jade slips to the three of them. Thank you, senior, Chun Hao and the two ladies said at the same time. As soon as the three of them stepped out of the test hall, a group of young people gathered around them. Just by looking at these people's expressions, the three of them knew that they were definitely newcomers who wanted to form a guardian team. That was indeed the case. Even though Chun Hao and the other two had coldly rejected them, the crowd still persevered and followed them, bragging about how awesome they were, how good they were, and how loyal they were. There were even quite a few people who had come purely for the sisters. There was no doubt that beauties of this level would add to any guardian team. They were definitely living signboards. Even if they did not come out to recruit people, they would still attract many young disciples to join. In this day and age, so what if they had a Tao companion? They could at least be eye candy, right? Occasionally, there were many cases of people trying to poach. Even if they failed, there was still the possibility of cheating, right? As the saying went, a wife was not as good as a concubine, and a concubine was not as good as a thief. Move aside. A high-pitched voice suddenly sounded, causing everyone's eardrums to buzz. The first king, who was a head taller than most people, exuded a beast-like aura. With a wave of his hand, the crowd separated and he walked toward Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters. The first king, brother first king, is he one of your people? It wasn't easy for us to take a fancy to him. This time, please be magnanimous and let him go. There are already several of them. Many of the young disciples who surrounded him obviously knew the first king. Let go my ass. This brother Chun might be my first king's boss. You think you're worthy of him joining your team? Brother first king, did I hear wrongly? Hearing the first king's words, many Songyuan city natives revealed surprised expressions. Who was the first king? He was the leader of the younger generation in Songyuan city. He was known as the three great monsters along with the Bailey family's Bailey Lianqing and Jing family's Jing Tiangang. Each of them had their own characteristics and strengths. No one was willing to submit to another, but they had a good personal relationship and appreciated each other. In terms of overall strength, the first king still had a slight advantage. He was only slightly inferior to Qian Wuliang, the number 1 person of the younger generation in Songyuan City's number 1 sect, Songzhan sect. However, the first king actually said that the young man in front of him might be his boss. What kind of concept was this? Move aside. Brother Chun, Miss Lung, they're all in the cultivation hall. We'll go find them and meet them. If Brother Chun doesn't have any objections, we'll register as a guardian team. Okay, Chun Hao said. Chun Hao had already obtained some information from the jade slip that the old man had given him. The cultivation hall was a place specially built by the Alliance for Guardians to cultivate. It was divided into various levels according to the Guardian's level. Level 1 Guardians could only enter the Level 1 cultivation hall. Moreover, they had to spend mission points or pay a fee to enter. However, the information did not mention the specific situation. When the 4 of them arrived at the cultivation hall, they each showed their Level 1 Guardian token. No points? You just passed the test, right? These numbers are all from today. If you want to enter now, Each person has to pay 10,000 high-grade primal crystal stones. The time limit is 1 day. For every additional day, you have to pay 10,000 high-grade primal crystal stones. Here are 40,000. The first king took out a storage ring and handed it to the old man guarding the door. "We'll stay for a day first. If you want to extend it, I'll come out and pay the fee." The old man was slightly stunned. Clearly, he was surprised by the first king's extravagance. However, after sizing up the 4 of them, he concluded that they were the top geniuses of some large family and did not say anything else. They had money and were willing to waste it. "What did it have to do with you? Why is it so expensive?" After the 4 of them walked through the door, Chun Hao could not help but ask. "It's normal. If you're not a guardian, no matter how much primal crystal stones you have, you won't be allowed to enter. This is only a level 1 cultivation hall. For every level 1 cultivation hall, the amount of primal crystal stones used is double that of the previous level 1. Under normal circumstances, you have to use mission points to enter. Completing a level 1 mission will give you 1 point. 1 point will allow you to cultivate here for a day. As a native of Songyuan City, although the first king had never entered the cultivation hall, he was very familiar with these details. They've been doing missions during this period of time to earn some points and cultivate here. I lost a bet with Bailey Lianqing and Jing Tiangang. Otherwise, they would have been looking for newcomers. Hee. Fortunately, I met the 3 of you today. Otherwise, even if I passed the test, I wouldn't have the time to come here. I've wanted to come here for a long time. The facilities of the cultivation hall are something that even the top clans and sects are unable to condense. It's definitely the best place to cultivate. It's just that using primal crystal stones is a bit too expensive." The first king said. Bang, bang, bang. Ding, ding, ding. After the 4 of them passed through a milky white light door, they immediately heard the sound of an intense battle. A huge martial arts practice hall appeared in front of them. In the middle of a circular arena, there were 2 cultivators fighting. In a martial arts practice hall, there were a few thousand people sitting in front of it and watching. "Let's wait here. I'll inform them," the first king said as he crushed 4 communication talismans. 2 of them were to inform Bailey Lianqing and Jing Tiangang. The other 2 talismans were for the male cultivators of the 2 Dao companions. This cultivation hall was incomparably huge. The martial arts practice hall was just a place for guardians to compete. It belonged to the nature of entertainment and gambling. It was just like the free exchange and challenge area in Heavenly Mist City. There were also all kinds of sealed cultivation areas. As for the other 6 people, it was impossible to find them. Author's note: I can't repay my debt for these 2 days. I can only maintain 2 updates. I'm really ashamed. Also, all the brothers and sisters who have subscribed to Proud Heaven now have a free evaluation vote for Proud Heaven. If you haven't voted yet, please help me. Remember to give me 10 points. Many thanks. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 389. Buzz. A moment later, the first king received a message from Bailey Lianqing. He looked at Chun Hao and said, "Brother Chun, the 6 of them have just arrived at the gravity field cultivation area. They want us to meet there. Since we are already here, let's go there and cultivate while chatting." The gravity field cultivation area is an excellent place to train speed, strength, and temper the body. "All right, I also want to experience it. Let's go," Chun Hao said. After passing through the martial arts practice area, the 4 of them entered a passageway that was 100 feet wide. After walking for a short distance, a door would appear on both sides of the wall. Beside the door was the name of the cultivation area: Heavenly Fire Body Tempering Area, Mystic Ice Body Tempering Area, Puppet Combat Area, Reaction Training Area, Attack Power Training Area, Movement Technique Training Area, Pressure Tolerance Training Area, Extraterrestrial Monster Level Simulation Training Area, Attribute Energy Attack Area, Sword Intent Training Area, Saber Intent Training Area, Artifact Refining Area, Alchemy Area, Heaven's Punishment Area. Huff. Looking at the names, even the first king, who already knew the situation, inside had a burning gaze. Not to mention Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters who knew nothing about the cultivation dojo. Just by looking at the names, the four of them had the urge to go in and give it a try. Along the way, they met many cultivators who came out from various cultivation rooms. They even met a few who knew the first king. When the four of them reached the deepest part of the passageway, they finally saw the door that was marked with the gravity field cultivation area. The first king took out his token and pressed it on the notch on the door. The door opened. The moment the first king entered, the door closed again. Anyone who cultivated could only enter through their own token and couldn't follow. Firstly, it was to count the number of cultivators who entered. Secondly, it was to determine the cultivator's location in the cultivation dojo. Interesting. The boundless world is obviously not a primitive society. Although it is completely different from the high-tech on Earth, it uses runic arrays and heaven and earth energy to evolve similar high-tech things. Many places are even more advanced than Earth. Chen Hao thought to himself when he saw the first king's name on the door. This token was actually an identification card. Swipe the card to open the door and transmit your information to the training hall's control center. Chen Hao could not help but have some thoughts. When he thought about the puppets he had encountered in the Seven Stars Palace in Sky City, Chun Hao felt a trace of desire. Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters also swiped their cards and walked in one after another. What came into view was a large hall with a radius of 3,000 feet. The layout of the hall was like a tavern. There were many tables and comfortable chairs. On the left side was a bar counter with beautiful waitresses. Huge shelves were filled with all kinds of drinks. On the right was a door marked medicinal bath. Beside the door was a service window. Obviously, this medicinal bath also had a separate fee. Chen Hao could not help but exclaim in admiration. The cultivation gym's facilities were truly perfect. To a certain extent, the gravitational field cultivation was specialized for the physical body. After overloading the cultivation, the damage to the physical body would definitely be huge. As for the medicinal bath, it was a bath filled with spear herbs. There was no doubt that it was specialized to solve this problem. Chun Hao only glanced briefly the moment he entered before looking at the four men and two women who were waving at them, or rather, the first king. The six people's gazes were basically focused on Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters. Whether it was Chun Hao or the beautiful sisters, a trace of surprise flashed in the depths of the six people's eyes. However, no one showed it. The expressions on their faces, especially the four men, were sufficiently arrogant. Huh, you didn't expect this, right? We're lucky today to have gathered 10 people in one go. Brother Chun, Miss Long, come, let me introduce you. The first king warmly pulled Chun Hao's arm and walked to the round table where the six people were gathered. At the same time, he let Chun Hao and the beautiful sisters sit at the seat of honor first. The first king's seemingly unconscious action was nothing in the hearts of the two pairs of Tao companions. They originally thought that the first king was a boorish man who did not care about the etiquette of being in the upper and lower seats. However, Bailey Lianxing and Jing Tiangang, who knew the first king very well, were slightly surprised and could not help but look at each other. This is Chun Hao, Brother Chun, from the Eastern Continent's cultivation world. The first king's words made the four young people who pretended to be arrogant and wanted to show off their strength to Chun Hao frown at the same time. A hero's background is not important. Although the Eastern Continent is barren, Brother Chun, to tell you the truth, Brother Chin's test results completely suppressed mine. Seeing everyone's expression, the first king's huge body sat down on the seat of two people and said, "It's just a test, it's nothing," Chun Hao said with a smile. At this moment, he was the same as the four youths and had a similar air of arrogance. Although his words were modest, the arrogance on his face was obvious. Moreover, it was the kind of arrogance that came from his bones. He gave people the feeling that he was born to be in a superior position. It was not something that could be faked. "Oh, Lion, you were conservative during the test, right?" Jing Tiangang, who was surrounded by demonic qi and had a somewhat evil charm of a demon youth, raised his sword-like eyebrows and said indifferently, What are Brother Chin's results for these tests? Conservative my ass. I was in the same batch as Brother Chun and the other two. Although I did not display my full strength in the first two tests, I did not hold back either. In the third round, I exceeded my standard. However, I still lost. The first king said with a wave of his hand. Obviously, he did not care about face at all with Jing Tiangang. Brother First King, let's get to know each other first. The test does not represent combat strength and comprehensive ability. So what if the results are good? When we were tested, we just casually passed the test. It's not accurate. Among the pair of Taoist companions, a scholarly youth with an elegant appearance said with a slight smile. His pair of eyes were bright and shining with the light of wisdom. However, this brother was wearing a different kind of coquettish red robe, which destroyed his elegance and looked a bit out of place. No hurry, no hurry. Since Lion has said so, you should at least tell me what Brother Chin's results are, right? I'm a bit curious, although I also casually tested. Bailey Lianqing said with a smile. With a round and chubby face, if he shaved his head and aged for 180 years, he would be a living Maitreya Buddha. After the first king swept his gaze over the crowd, he reported Chun Hao's results. Although the speed in the first round was not bad, it did not surprise them. However, the attack power in the second round surprised them. However, what really made them flabbergasted was that Chun Hao actually won in the third test. After seeing everyone's expression, the first king was satisfied and then introduced the Lung sisters. When it came to the sisters, the first king praised them again. In particular, the two of them had a tacit understanding of each other and showed a terrifying speed. Everyone could not help but sigh at their inferiority, and the gap between them was huge. Then, the first king introduced the 6 people to Chun Hao and the other two, Bailey Lianqing and Jing Tiangang. Chun Hao already knew. The name of the young man in the red robe made Chun Hao's balls ache a little. Zhang Rongrong, his beautiful Taoist companion, was called Tan Hui. She looked gentle and virtuous, dignified and noble. Although she was not as charming as the sisters, she was also a rare, beautiful woman. In the words of Earth, this kind of woman was the kind of woman who was suitable to be a wife. She was good at both the hall and the kitchen. She came from the immortal cultivation world of the East Sea archipelago. Like Chun Hao, Zhang Rongrong was the leader of the younger generation in the East Sea archipelago. He was also the champion of this year's inter-sect competition. Tan Rong was second only to Zhang Rongrong. Of course, these were all said by the first king. Obviously, they already knew each other's background. What made Chun Hao surprised was that the other pair of peerless geniuses from the northern continent were itinerant cultivators. They were not immortals, demons, or devils. The auras on their bodies were vague and fleeting. There were no obvious 3 auras. The man was slightly short, while the woman was tall and strong. However, they acted like a little bird. Chun Hao's names were even more shocking. He was called Gao Dazhuang, and the woman was called by Xiao Mei. When the first king said the names of the 2 people, Chun Hao had a strong mental fortitude and resisted the urge to burst out laughing. However, the beautiful sisters sitting on his left and right could not help but burst out laughing. Cough, cough. I'm sorry. Brother Gao and Sister Bai's names are too wonderful for words. Sorry. Lung Ning said a little awkwardly. It's okay. Anyone who hears my name for the first time would be unable to hold back their laughter. However, Brother Chun is able to hold it in. You really have strong willpower. Bai Xiaomei's voice was so sweet that it was sickening. Apart from Gao Dazhuang, all the other men felt their bodies go numb. Of course, the prerequisite was that they could not look at Bai Xiaomei's appearance. Cough, cough. Now that the 10 of us are gathered, if no one has any objections, we will form a guardian group after we leave the cultivation pavilion. What do you think? I have no objections. The first king was the first to speak. I also have no objections. Bailey Lianqing smiled. I also have no objections. Jing Tiangang said. Soon after, the 2 pairs of Tao companions and Chun Hao's trio also expressed that they had no objections. It's good that no one has any objections. When I first came to find you, I said that whoever becomes the group leader will be determined by strength. In terms of strength, the most important thing is combat power. Secondly, it depends on this. The burly first king, who looked like a golden lion king, pointed at his own head and said, "Our family Zhuang is extremely intelligent. Although Zhuang and I are not sisters, we are husband and wife. 3 years ago, our hearts were connected. If the two of us work together, you will definitely not be a match. Therefore, I feel that Zhuang is the most suitable group leader. What do you think?" The first king, pointing at his own head and talking about wisdom, had already stunned everyone. Bai Xiaomei's recommendation of Gao Dazhuang made everyone's balls hurt. On the other hand, Gao Dazhuang had a leisurely look as if what Bai Xiaomei said was the absolute truth. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to Conceited. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 390. The virtuous wife and mother smiled without saying anything, but Zhang Rongrong curled his lips and said, "I think I'm more suitable. Self-recommendation is invalid. I think Bailey Lianqing is more suitable." He hid the knife in his smile. He's cunning and scheming. Although he's a bit weak and dirty, he's more suitable to be the leader. Jing Tiangang said, "You flatter me. I only have a few good points. I'm just average. I think you're more suitable, too, although you're a bit weaker than me," Bailey Lianqing said with a smile. The first king glared fiercely at the two of them, and a wisp of conflict appeared on his rough and towering face. After looking at Chun Hao and the others, he seemed to hesitate for a moment before saying, "I think I'm more suitable." "You? Pooey. I already said that self-recommendation is invalid. Although we have 10 people, we're in 6 groups. Only one person has the right to speak. Look at you. You're all brawn and no brains. Mother of Her. The two of you are obviously in cahoots to recommend each other." The first king said angrily, "Since self-recommendation is invalid, I recommend Brother Chun." "Brother Chun, do as you deem fit." "What do you mean?" "I think Gao Dazhuang is more suitable." "Brother Gao, do as you deem fit." "What else is there to see?" "Zhang Rongrong, although you're a bit weaker than our Gao Dazhuang, we recommend you." F***Sika. Chun Hao did not expect this group of people to be so extreme. Even the first king had misjudged him. "What do you mean by do as you deem fit?" Ahem. Chun Hao coughed twice with a thoughtful look on his face. After pondering for a moment, he said, "Let's cut the crap. It doesn't matter if you recommend me or I recommend you. No matter who becomes the leader, the others will not accept it. Since the first king said that we have to rely on strength, let's just find a place and have a duel." "Duel? How can that be? We've already discussed this before. Even if there's a gap between us, it won't be that big. It won't be that easy to determine the winner. Even if someone dies." Gao Dazhuang said before by Xiaomei. "That's not a..." The beautiful sisters knew how strong Chun Hao's battle prowess was. Therefore, after hearing Gao Dazhuang's words, Lung Ningle spoke up. However, before he could finish, he was stopped by Chun Hao, who said, "Since that's the case, let's change the method. I took a look at the cultivation gym when we first arrived. It covers all aspects and can definitely assess our strength. Although it might not be his true combat strength, the difference wasn't too big. Didn't you all not try your best during the test? This time, let's have a proper competition. Whether it's a mule or a horse, you'll know once you pull it out. Of course, this doesn't represent wisdom. Wisdom wasn't something that could be achieved just because someone said so. It needed time to verify it. Therefore, in this competition, we will only list the regiment commander as the temporary regiment commander when the Guardian Regiment is registered. After we have a deeper understanding of the Guardian Regiment, we will elect the regiment commander fairly. As long as it is for the sake of the Guardian Regiment, I don't think there will be such a situation where you choose me and I choose you. Right? All right. I agree with Chun Hao's method. The first king was the first to speak, his rough and lofty face shining with strong confidence. The Guardian test only tested the basic options. Although he accepted his loss wholeheartedly, it didn't mean that he felt that he was inferior to Chun Hao. The cultivation gym covered all aspects of the cultivation gym. Only then could one better assess one's true strength. This time, he was confident that he would win. I have no objections. Me neither. Let's start the competition directly. We will start from his gravity field. Whoever goes the deepest will win. The first place will have 6 points, and the points will decrease in order. You Tao companions will benefit a little and take the ones with good results. There are 3 of you, so the benefits will be greater. After looking at the 2 pairs of Tao companions, Jing Tiangang looked at Chun Hao and the sisters and said, "No need. Huan Huan and Lele are my younger sisters, junior sisters, god sisters. Just take my results." After seeing the sisters' flushed faces, Chun Hao said directly, "However, this fellow changed his words twice and said younger sisters. Obviously, they weren't blood-related. Junior sisters could be fooled by people who weren't familiar with them, but now that everyone knew about their situation, it wasn't suitable to be a junior sister. It was more suitable to be a god sister. There was no other way." He had to explain. Everyone obviously treated the sisters as his Tao companions. The first king was no exception. If he didn't explain, there would definitely be more awkwardness in the future. Hearing Chun Hao's words, apart from the first king, Bailey Lianqing and Jing Tiangang showed a surprised expression at the same time. Originally, when they thought that the sisters and Chun Hao were Tao companions, the 2 of them just glanced at each other and no longer looked at each other. This was the principle. They couldn't covet their friend's wife. In the future, they would be brothers and comrades. No matter how beautiful the sisters were, they couldn't be tempted. But now that Chun Hao specially explained, the 2 bachelors were suddenly overjoyed. Their eyes lit up as they looked at the sisters. They didn't hide their admiration at all. They had seen countless women, but they couldn't find one with talent, age, and outstanding appearance that could be their Tao companions. Since Chun Hao emphasized it in front of everyone, why should they be polite? "Brother Chun, no. My dear brother, are you serious?" Jing Tiangang, who originally said that Chun Hao was the most advantageous, had a 180-degree change in expression at this time. His face was full of flattery and flattery. He even called him his dear brother. "Brother, what's the point of testing? Didn't the first king just recommend you? I also recommend you to be the leader." Jing Tiangang, "You also recommend our brother?" Bailey Lianqing hurriedly said when he saw that he was snatched first. "You mother of asterisk cur." Jing Tiangang scolded Bailey Lianqing in his heart for being shameless. Didn't he see that the sisters had telepathy? What did it mean to have telepathy? Naturally, it was best to follow one person. But this shameless guy actually wanted to have a share of the soup. Not only did he want to have a share of the soup, he also wanted to checkmate him. But he could only hurriedly reply, of course. Brother is the most suitable to be the leader." Chun Hao's face was tangled. Mother of asterisk her, why were the people gathered together all the best this time? And to this extent? But why did he have the urge to beat the 2 of them to death? Wasn't it a good thing to have 2 super geniuses chasing after his god-granddaughter? At that time, these 2 guys would have to call him grandpa, right? Why do you want to beat them up? Could it be they touched my cheese? Chun Hao shuddered and quickly erased the thoughts in his mind. Gao Dazhuang and Zhang Rongrong, the husband and wife pair, were speechless and unhappy. The first king wished he could slap these 2 shameless fellows to death. They were just a pair of beautiful sisters. Yet these 2 fellows were so shameless? What was good-looking about them? So short, so small, so thin. The first king really couldn't understand. They were worlds apart from his dream girl. They couldn't even compare to Bai Xiaomei. Luckily, the first king only thought about it in his heart. If he really said it out loud, he was afraid that he would be despised by all the men in the world for having a problem with aesthetic standards. The sisters' faces were red. They reached out their small hands and pinched Chun Hao. Lung Ning Lu saw that Chun Hao didn't react and finally couldn't help but say, "We are temporarily Brother Hao's god sisters. We have difficulties now and can't reveal our real relationship. Isn't that right, Brother Hao?" Lung Ning Lu pouted and raised her head slightly. She moved closer to Chun Hao and asked coquettishly. Although Lung Ning Huan didn't say anything, she had the same expression as Lung Ning Lu. "Yes, Yes, our true relationship can't be made public. Chunhao hurriedly said as he looked at the two beautiful little faces and the two pink lips. At the same time, he couldn't help but admire Lung Ning Huan's quick-wittedness. What she said was the truth. They were temporarily God's sisters. They couldn't reveal their real relationship. Their real relationship was their god-grandfather. But if that was the case, in the eyes of others, what was it if not Tao companions? Cough, cough. What a waste of emotions, what a waste of emotions. Cough, cough. Let the competition begin. Let the competition begin. After removing the soundproof barrier, the 10 of them got up and walked directly into the gravitational field. After stepping through the light curtain, everyone's bodies trembled slightly. A huge pressure suddenly struck them, and their bodies instantly became 10 times heavier. Hi, Chi. At a glance, there were many cultivators walking under the 10 times gravitational field, displaying all kinds of skills. Some are practicing swords, some are practicing sabers, some are practicing movement techniques, palm techniques, and leg techniques. All of them were sweating profusely. It was obvious that they were challenging their limits. 10 times gravitational field was nothing to cultivators of the primordial soul realm. However, it only meant that they could withstand it. However, it was different here. Regardless of whether it was their body or their weapons, their weight had increased by 10 times. The same move would require 10 times the energy consumption. After cultivating here for a period of time, what would it be like to go out and use the same move again? Everyone had a look of arrogance on their faces as they walked forward. However, at this moment, Xiaomei screamed and covered her mountain-like chest with her hands. Although there was nothing beautiful about it, it was really huge. Everyone could see this with their eyes. What are you looking at? Gao Dazhuang opened his arms and stood in front of Bai Xiaomei. At the same time, he turned to look at Bai Xiaomei and whispered, "Dear, what are you screaming for? I told you to wear a chest wrap. I don't feel comfortable wearing it." Who knew that the gravitational field would have such a huge effect? It's okay. I'll carry it. Everyone was speechless. How high did one have to be to say such words? Wasn't it just a voice transmission? Chunhao couldn't help but look at the beautiful sisters from the corner of his eyes. He knew that they weren't small either. Luckily, they didn't have any reaction. After all, not everyone could do something like a vacuum. After the commotion, the 10 of them continued to move forward at the same speed. None of them used any energy and were completely relying on their physical bodies to withstand the gravitational field. It was only 10 times the gravitational field. How could they be the first to show weakness? Although the gravitational field gradually increased as they went deeper, it was still within their tolerance range. The gravitational field of a level 1 cultivation stadium was at least 1,000 times the gravitational field. The deeper they went, the stronger the gravitational field. Everyone knew that with their cultivation and physical strength, they wouldn't be able to reach a depth of 1,000 times the gravitational field. It wasn't that they couldn't withstand 1,000 times the gravitational field. It was that their cells and organs couldn't withstand it. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.